Hello, hello. Welcome. It is time to get started. Hey, there we are. Alright, so this is my first stream in what, like months? I've done a few like test streams, I've done a few like offhand gaming streams. Might want to turn it down? Alright, sure. There. Is this better? Or you up? Wait, what? Turn what down? Is this a good volume? Oh, wait. I'm adjusting the wrong thing. Wait, hold on. Can you guys hear music right now? There. I was adjusting the music volume, I thought. Okay. Is that better? It should be muted. I don't want music. Loot made me go mad. Yeah, maybe I need to adjust the the audio. All right. So yeah, I haven't really. I used to be like a more consistent streamer where I was streaming like every like every week. It felt like almost, or at least a few times a month for a good like half year, or at least whenever I had like a game to play. But I haven't really done any consistent streaming in a long time, and especially not director's commentaries. For, if you guys remember, the last one I did was the Wacky War Tactics in Yet Another Nutshell video, which is over a year old. That's not quite right. So I need to catch up with 7 lovely director's commentaries. And a big reason why I never got back into doing these was because I had moved, and my like my new setup area has echo, which you guys might be able to hear in this stream. And so it's like, do I want to like record with echo, or do I want to like put this place together first so that it, it sounds a little bit better? And it is a little bit better, but it's still echoey. It's not quite, I haven't bought all the sound paneling I want to get. So, and plus also this is one of my, or maybe it is, I think it is my longest video ever. I can't sort by length, but yeah, it is. It's my only video over 30 minutes is the soda company video. So it's like, do I really want to sit down and yap about this for what will end up being like a 4-hour stream? Because I have done a director's commentary on this Cold War video before, and if I remember correctly, that stream was like 4 hours or something. I don't know when I streamed that. Oh man, look at all these lovely streams. Yeah, well, I guess that was a double feature, me playing Pikmin and also reacting. Yeah, 5-hour stream. Nutty. But yeah, I haven't streamed since, I did 3 months ago. I did a little Civ 5 stream, and then the Hitman stream was really fun. Anyway. So, today I think I'm gonna, instead of like going back to do the soda company and pick up where I left off, I thought it'd be best to do the most recent video while it's most fresh in my mind, so I can provide the best commentary that I can provide. And so that's what I'm gonna do. So today we're reacting to this Bone Wars video, which I hope you guys have all seen by now. If you haven't, make sure to do, and leave a like and a comment. It helps in the algorithm, which drives my whole lifestyle. So I guess always to start off, I like to talk about like the thumbnail and everything like that. When I first decided on this topic, I was deciding between a few, and actually the other topic that I was deciding between, I'm working on now for my next video. If you didn't watch it yet, you can, unless you want to watch it for the first time with me, you can go watch it now. But just make sure to leave a like after the fact. Anyway, so when I first started with this video, one of the first things I did, there's 2 things. I thought up the intro, the cinematic intro, inspired by the success of the Great Depression video. And then also, I immediately knew what I wanted for the thumbnail. I actually drew the thumbnail here on my in my notebook. Actually, maybe I can like take a picture of it and like show it to you guys. Hold on. Here we go. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like It might take me a second, but I'm taking a picture of my notebook. I wish I had like a stream camera I could just like whip out and point down, but that's a lot of work to put together. So instead, I'm just gonna like airdrop these or something. Or I can't airdrop on PC. Anyway, bear with me. But basically, one of the first things I did was think up what I wanted the thumbnail to look like, just because that's always fun. I like to treat my thumbnails like movie posters. A lot of people have, you know, like these techniques for like what they want their thumbnails to look like, where, you know, you have like the Mr. Beast style, where everything is over the top and big, loud, like open mouth and like saturation with like a head that's like slightly enlarged and all that. You have like all these like clickbaity thumbnails. There's this like, oh my god, there's this one style of thumbnail that drives me insane, which is like if you, hold on. I think if you like search up why you wouldn't survive, no. Although it is kind of similar to this, where it's like this style of thumbnail where it's just like a white background, some text, and an arrow pointing at something. And maybe it's a different type of title convention I'm thinking of. I'm not really seeing what I'm thinking of. It's basically kind of like this. Although this is AI slop. Anyway, there's like trendy types of thumbnails that you can do. And I don't fuck with that. I find that boring as hell. So I like to, even though they might not be the most popular style of thumbnail, I like to do it because it makes me happy, and they do, I think, perform decently well. This is the vampire hunting video is one where I tried to do more of a trendy style, because the thumbnail I did originally have for it wasn't the best performing, so I was like, all right, I guess I'll, you know, suck it up and try to make a more trendy style of thumbnail. And I still think it looks good, but I just think the whole like white background thumbnail thing is so overdone that I want to like create my own signature look. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Okay, so I downloaded these pictures. I'm just kind of yapping until I get these onto my computer so I can show you guys. Okay. Okay, so now I gotta like, oh, streaming is so hard. Hold on. So I gotta create, or is there a way I can like open up a doc? Hold on. Let me see. There might be a way I can just like open up like a doc folder or something and just paste it. But I can't sign in on this browser. Okay, hold on. I have a different idea. Bear with me. I'm not as prepared as I should have been. Create scene. Oh, wait, I can just do this. Oh, here we go. I can just like create an image. And then I can, wait, will it not detect the image? Oh my god. Okay, so first I have to convert the HEIC to PNG. Or JPEG, or whichever. Because fucking everything sucks in life. Just 1 second, a little quick little website conversion here. I don't want malware, no. Okay, download. Download. All right, we're in business. Okay, so then browse. I hope this is the right thing. Aha! Okay, there's one. That's huge. Okay, this is one picture. And then another picture. Which one was that? Was it the top or the bottom one? Is this the same one? Damn, it's the same one. Not that one, but this one. Okay. So I'll start with just the thumbnail concept. This is one of the first things I drew for the video, was this concept thumbnail. And that's what I ended up going with. I really liked the idea. I knew the background. I had more of like a mountainy sort of like layered, tiered background here. I don't think you can see my mouse actually, but it's yeah, like that, like behind the guy with the pickaxe, you see like those kind of like mountainous tiers. I was thinking of kind of like a Nevada type background. It's not what I ended up going with. This like T-Rex fossil was just completely off memory of like what I thought a T-Rex might look like. Not exactly accurate. He's got like a very thick neck, but it's more of the vibe you're going for. And I just thought, okay, this feels like it has a really good symmetry to it. There's kind of like a U shape in the focus of where your eye is supposed to look, which is pretty similar to how the final product ended up looking. I think the biggest differences are, you know, like the people are a bit bigger in the final product than they are in the concept, just because I want you to see the white of their head better for contrast. The action-y pose of the guy with the shovel, Marsh, was not as intense as it was in my concept. And then the dinosaur is a lot better. And then the only complaint I kind of have with this thumbnail is I feel like the contrast with the bird is not as good as it could be. But anyway, I'll come back to the other pictures after we get started with the video. Which, by the way, it's hard enough for me already to stream, so I'm not going to be able to keep up with the comments very well. I'll try if something catches my eye, but my priority is just to give commentary. So if you have questions, save it for the end. But for Preddy, or Preed YT, this writing is me like drinking a coffee and like off to the side, just trying to get like all the shit down really fast. It's not meant for people to read. When I'm writing for like a paper, I will write much nicer, I swear. Hey GT, thank you for the donation. Thanks for all the amazing videos and epic content. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support always. All right. Well, anyway, without further ado, let's just jump into it. And first, actually, okay, I need to fix this. Theater mode, will that be better? I swear they changed the dimensions, because previously I had it set up so that my picture in the chat box was perfectly to the left, like in the black box area over here. But now it's kind of like overlapping with the screen a little bit. So is there like a way I could like, you know what I could do? I could just do this. Just like, wait, that's not it. Is it, I can just like move the window to the side. And we can just ball out that way. Where is the window? I have a million windows. Okay. That, and then move. Get over there. Okay, I'm moving it over here. There we go. Now we can see it. Does that look okay? I'll pin your message, Nate. Yes. Does this look okay? All right. Now, let's get started. So, Ancient Greece, July 13th, 6th century BC. Husband, please, must you keep digging like this? This earth used to be underwater, Merope, and I'm gonna find the fossils to prove it. This is it. This is... What? Yeah! Oh, sorry, wrong language. I've been asleep for so many eons, I've lost track of which Big Bang this is. Are you the regular monkey people or the weird ones with tentacle toes? Are you a god? Sure. Well,
Almighty and benevolent being, I beseech thee, help me find what shell fossils may be buried amongst this earth so that I may surpass my rival, proving my theory before that dreaded Xenophanes.
Wow, passionate worship and heated rivalry? White girls will eat that shit up in a few thousand years. But crabs are lame. Dinosaurs are where the YouTube content's at. And funny enough, there just so happened to be quite the similar bitter feud between two paleontologists in the 1800s. It's a tale of connivery, bribery, and cutthroat rivalry, with both men scrambling to get the upper hand with increasingly underhanded methods. I don't understand any of these words you're speaking. That's fine, this is the internet, you're not here to learn. But anyway, how about we ditch the sandbox and take a proper field trip forward in time? You're capable of this? Sure, I can take it any time you like. The fall of Rome, that Jesus guy, your wife's third affair. Third? You're right, so many fun options. Let's keep things simple today and explore the wacky antics of the Bone Wars. Wait, third? Okay, I just wanted to play the intro uninterrupted for the first playthrough because there's a lot to talk about there. But, oh man, okay, so basically, with the last video, the Great Depression video, there was kind of a lot of lore implications, especially in regards to the relationship between Blue Jay and Alex, the character I typically kidnap in most of my videos. So right after I posted that video and all of the comments, like a good majority of the comments, it felt like, were really kind of enamored and encapsulated with that the lore of like the Blue Jay universe, the BJU, as you know the cultured ones say. It gave me a lot of inspiration to like, okay, maybe I can take some more risks and really try to like, you know, double down on the lore and the world building and not really take away from, you know, the core of the video, which is a history video about the Bone Wars. And I think it was pretty successful. People, I mean, this video, a lot of channels on YouTube are struggling lately. Like for the past year or so, views have been down. And this is kind of like something that from talking to people and seeing other channels, like everyone's views are kind of down. And I think it's just a lot of YouTube changes as a whole. But like ever since the Soda Comedy video, views have been lower than typical. But so this video was pretty decently performing, but not anything abnormally bad or good. So I think overall, I consider it a success because this is what I view to be a risky intro, because if you're a new time viewer who knows nothing about Blue Jay, my channel, the background or anything, my goal is for it to be something that is intriguing so that you can sit through it even if you know nothing, you have zero context. But for returning viewers and people that are really dedicated, they get a lot of enjoyment out of it and they can, you know, see some new things. So like, for example, we learned that Blue Jay is an ever-present being. We don't really know when he started, or if he ever did start, or if he was just always there. He references the fact that he lost track of which Big Bang this is, which is, as a lot of people in the comments pointed out, inferring that he has just been an ever-present omnipotent being over time. But then he also kind of hesitates when the guy asks, "Are you a god?" And he's just like, "Sure." And, you know, Blue Jay's a character that is pretty manipulative and really adores the spotlight and likes to take whatever credit he can get and whatever power he can get. So the fact that he kind of hesitated there was kind of my way of sort of like showing that, you know, either he isn't a god, maybe he doesn't know in what sense he's being asked if he's a god, or maybe he's never considered if he's a god, or maybe he's not a god and he just kind of like is some kind of ever-present powerful being. I kind of have my own conclusion when it comes to it, but I really believe when it comes to art as a whole that the artist's opinion or view is not necessarily the correct one. My job is to create the art for people to interpret. So I kind of hesitate when it comes to like talking about like why I wrote something the way I did, because I don't want to like, you know, invalidate people's theories. Because in my opinion, I think people's theories about things are just as valid as my own. Because it's all subjective, right? There's not like an objective story here, outside of like established facts. And some of it I'm discovering as I'm creating it, you know. Blue Jay in 2026 is very different from the Blue Jay of 2020. If you ever go back and watch some of my oldest videos, it's very different, which is I think one of the top comments here. Like, anyone else find it weird going back to early Blue Jay videos when he didn't kidnap random humans to subject to horrors within comprehension. It's so it's an ever-evolving story, one that I'm discovering as I go, one that I do have a good idea about, but, you know, nothing's set in stone until I make a video. So, with that, I lost my pages here. So, the pictures I had shown earlier, I can show those again here, actually. One of the first things I did with the success of the Great Depression video is that I wanted to storyboard a little bit my idea for another cinematic intro, because I had done one before with the psychiatric hospital in the Cola Wars, which I haven't done a director's commentary on yet. So these are like my my storyboard panels of my plan. So this is like the background that we kind of saw. I ended up getting rid of this like dig here for just like a nice pure landscape shot, which you can see in the actual shot that inspired this first one here, inspired by this first one here. And then, you know, the sun going down as he's digging in the background. And then he hits something and he's like, and then uncovers this very demonic Blue Jay speaking in an eldritch tongue. And I knew that was gonna be the intro from the start. I was really excited for this one. And then, so July 13th was my way of saying this was, like, July 13th is Blue Jay's birthday. That's why it says July 13th here in the intro. These bird animations were kind of a little annoying to get feeling consistent, because I basically had like a bird wing flapping animation, which I can like kind of like page through here. And then I took that animation and like shrunk it and transformed it in a way, or like rotated them sometimes to kind of make them feel like they're birds flying from the foreground to the background out of frame. Just to give a little bit more life to the frame. And then there were some other changes. Something that I talked about before was are like pillars for my videos, where I have these pillars that I have written down on my my bulletin board here, for what makes a Blue Jay video, where I have kind of these principles that I will always stick to, so I make sure I don't stray too far from what my own identity is. And one of the like non-official pillars, this is like a personal like art style pillar, was all of my backgrounds had black outlines, which is not something you typically see for animated backgrounds. They're usually more like paintings, so as to not take away from the contrast of the characters in the foreground. But if you look at like, you know, like this thumbnail for the Great Depression here, all the building lines, that's all black lines, or like this hilltop here in the Absurd Inventions video, that's a black outline. These are dark outlines, but they're not quite black. These are for like, I chose like the color of the mountain and made it close to black, but not quite black, so that you can see, you know, the black of the characters is clearly black, and this is more of like a really dark, like red almost, or clay sort of look. Because, you know, I thought it looked nicer. I thought there were a lot of times in the past where I would have to like work around a background with how I moved characters, especially in my pirate videos, because of like the railing in the background on the pirate ship, because like their limbs will blend in with the background because the limbs are just black lines. And I kind of wanted to, you know, I felt like it was worth changing that part of my art style to just help with visual clarity. And overall, I'm kind of happy I did. I think this video, I was telling my mentor and also the artist behind my bird, Cass, that I felt like I had really improved in my art style in this video, or just my art in general. A lot of my drawings were more, not necessarily that I was drawing way better than ever, but just way more confidently and efficiently. all of my drawings were significantly quicker to get done than they would have been previously. Like, this background here is actually one of the rare times that I drew a 4K background. This is a 4K picture, just because I knew I was going to have it zoomed into in the beginning here, so I could just zoom out for a wide shot. This background did not take me that long to do. In fact, the original outline for the mountains, that was my my rough draft line work, which I usually do in like a light blue, and then I trace over it with my, finalized outline in colors. But I just liked my, really quick one pass with a background outline that I just chose to make it my actual outline. So it saved a lot of time. All of these rocks, they were really quick to do. This isn't like a super complicated background either. I think the thing that was hardest about this background was these kind of like shadows on the hills, making them look like mountains. And I'm not like 100% satisfied with them, but I think overall they do a pretty good job. So I kind of fuck with it. I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, so this video, I decided to change up that aspect of my art style a little bit. Some other things. A little Easter egg here. This is something that's revealed at the end of the video, which I guess is kind of like a spoiler if you haven't seen it. But I'm going to just go ahead and say it now since it's the director's commentary. The character here, his name is Alexander. And my whole plan with this video was to serve as kind of like, the origin story of RedJay and Alex. And showing how RedJay and Alex are kind of this constant. They are always there. A RedJay and an Alex. A RedJay always needs his Alex and vice versa. It's like a yin and a yang, a perpetual cycle of torture and learning. And so Alexander here, his wife, he says here,
"Must you keep digging like this?
This earth used to be underwater, Merope." Merope, which if you look up, whoops, censor that, is the wife of Sisyphus from the ancient Greek myth of Sisyphus, the man doomed to perpetually push a rock up a mountain forever. And this is to basically paint this Alexander here as a man in a Sisyphusian struggle. He is perpetually in this state of RedJay videos. He is always dying and resurrecting as an Alex. Alex is reincarnated throughout history because Alexander dies at the end of the video, and RedJay says, "I'll see you again in another life, dear Alex." So Alex will die, he'll be born again. There's always this the same soul in a new body of Alex that RedJay will always be there to kidnap and to teach all these fun things. And so that was like my little way of showing that Alex is in a Sisyphusian myth, basically. That was like a little Easter egg there. What else did I have here for this intro?
This is it. This is... What?
Yup. This was hard because I kind of wanted to draw an eye that looked crazier. Like, if you remember from my thumbnail here, this eye looks a bit wider and more like frantic. But RedJay is drawn in a photorealistic style, and I cannot do that. I could not draw this RedJay better than Cass could, and I did not want to bother Cass to draw a new pose for RedJay for this specific shot. So this is just RedJay enlarged as much as it can go, so you can see that it's like a little blurry. But I did, I put in a little bit of veins here in the eye. I made it red. I made these noises, and then I just like kind of adjusted it a little bit to give it a demonic feel. But like the raw audio is not all that different from what you hear here. I just like added a bit of reverb to it. And yeah. Oh, sorry, wrong language. I've been asleep for so many eons, I've lost track of which Big Bang this is. Yep. Are you the regular monkey people or the weird ones with tentacle toes?
Are you a god?
Sure. I really like that delivery too. I spent a while trying to make sure the sure sounded good. What else did I have for the intro?
Well, almighty and benevolent being, I beseech thee, help me find what shell fossils may be buried amongst this earth so that I may surpass my rival, proving my theory before that dreaded Xenophanes.
So I wanted to find a way to like ground this intro in reality. Xenophanes is a real person. He is a person from ancient Greece. What would you call him? Like a scientist, I guess? I didn't do a ton of research into Xenophanes. It was just kind of like, did I spell that right? Xenophanes, a philosopher and theologian. But he is also one of the earliest examples of a paleontologist. He has, let me see if this wiki even mentions it. Fossil? Okay, here we go. Yes, so he examined fossils of sea creatures that were found above land, concluding that water must have once covered all of Earth's surface. So it's one of the earliest examples of a person making that discovery. Yeah, there's a lot of other cool, fun information about him too that I might cover in another video. So I was kind of like, this fake Alexander is a man that I was trying to like create this ancient version of the Bone War rivalry. Like he's like another paleontologist trying to prove his theory that the Earth used to be underwater before Xenophanes does. And we learn, you know, according to history, Xenophanes was the winner as opposed to this fake Alexander who gets kidnapped and dies and is forgotten to time. So that's kind of like, the story is somewhat real. It's not just like completely pulled out of my ass. There is a bit of realism to like what's going on here and why he's digging. And 6th century BC is also around when Xenophanes was alive. So that's why I chose specifically the 6th century BC. In ancient Greece. And then, what else did I have?
Wow, passionate worship and heated rivalry? White girls will eat that shit up in a few thousand.
Yeah, so like Heated Rivalry, I don't know how many people know, but it's like a very popular show, or at least was, maybe less so now. But it is something that around the time that I was writing especially was very popular, and I've heard a lot of people talking about it. And so the original title for this video was The Heated Rivalry Nobody Talks About. Through A and B title testing, this title ended up performing a bit better, which makes sense. My audience, I guess, isn't all nerdy gay people. So I changed it to this, but I still have Heated Rivalry jokes in the video for that nice, sweet search engine optimization. We do love some optimization.
Years. But crabs are lame. Dinosaurs are where the YouTube content's at. And funny enough, they're just...
I was really proud of that dinosaur, so I wanted to find as many ways as I could to draw it and put it in frame.
Just so happened to be quite the similar bitter feud between two paleontologists in the 1800s.
Yeah, they are.
It's a tale of connivery, bribery, and methods. I don't understand any of these words you're speaking. That's fine. This is the internet. You're not here to learn.
Yeah, just a pointedly fun jab at the fact that we are on the internet, and the internet is full of, you know, misinformation, and people act like they're here to learn, but that's not. People are here for comedy and for laughs and for getting mad and yelling at things and getting mad on Twitter and shit.
But anyway, how about we ditch the sandbox and take a proper field anytime you like, right? So many fun options.
I was also laughing myself silly at using this picture of Jesus Christ talking to Brian Griffin from Family Guy. I don't know why that really made me laugh, but this is one of my favorite jokes in the intro.
Let's keep things simple today.
Oh, fun fact, this bed I have, oh man, I think the first time I used it was my Julie Daubeny video, one of my oldest videos, La Moupon, 5 years ago. I think I'm pretty sure I have it in this video. Yep, right there, if you saw in that little preview. That's a file that I have saved on my computer, because I reuse assets and props frequently once I draw them. And the title for it is called Fuck Bed. Just food for thought.
Explore the wacky antics of the Bone Wars. Wait, third? Do you hear voices? Well, I can't help you with that, but I can help you stop hearing new ones who acquired your phone number online with our sponsor Incogni. You can think of your online data like the mediocre stories you tell on a first date. You might think your small talk is staying between the two of you, but when you inevitably...
Oh, fun fact about this background, this was first drawn for the Wild Duels video, also one of my oldest videos, or Historic Duels that put the Wild West to shame. That's one of my all-time favorites. I really love that video. This is like when Lord William Byron is arguing about the proper way to do something with birds. It's like dry them to hang them up after you shoot them. I forget what you call that, but
leave her unimpressed, she laughs about you to her friends, one of them is a comedian, and now 2.5 million people on TikTok know about your 8th grade furry face. Just like a bad date, data brokers too love sucking up all your personal data to spill everywhere online. Except they don't even take you to Olive Garden first. But don't worry, gamers, that's where Incogni comes in. They track down these data brokers with dogs and force them at gunpoint to scrub your data clean from various online directories or else face ferocious attack by canine. I'm being told to say that this is all metaphorical.
You know what's really funny is, I know you guys probably don't care about the ad read, but I do try to put a lot of effort into my ad reads to make them as entertaining as possible so they feel like they're a part of the video. I really did not think they would let me tell a joke like this, like talking about tracking down data brokers with dogs and forcing them at gunpoint to give up your information. I'm like, surely they will not let me make claims that they threaten people with actual violence. And I originally took out the gun part, and people, and like, they were like, no, wait, put that back in. I think that's funny. And like, they're gonna love it. And I'm like, are you for real right now? Are you sure? Because I was like, ain't no way they'll let me have Incogni point a gun at a guy and like have dogs sick him. But they let me. So I think I fuck with Incogni. Those people are really fun.
Incogni will keep your personal information safe from being sold to scammers and swindlers.
Oh my god, this picture was also funny. A guy in my comments was going crazy. He's like, I don't get it. Why is there an assassin from Assassin's Creed in this picture here? And it's not that deep. I just thought it was like this like random stock photo of a hacker was funny because he's wearing a white hood and like he's all edgy and shit. So I wanted to like kind of make fun of him by putting a little less like Altair in here, like, yeah, we're super cool assassins, and that's it.
By regularly contacting hundreds of data brokers to have your information removed, which they are legally obligated to do. With their nifty custom removals plan, if you ever find your personal information on a website like White Pages, all you have to do is make a request and Incogni will work hard to take it down, with metaphorical dogs. This doesn't work on TikToks, the world will forever call you Furry Freddy now, and stuff like government websites and court records is off the table, so make sure you pay your taxes, or at least pretend to very well. To try out Incogni today, you can use my code BLUEJAY through my link in the description to get 60% off an annual plan. And now, back to the Bone War.
And if that interests you at all, please do use my code. It does help me out with sponsors and getting returning customers in service. Also, thank you so much for the donation, GT Bricks, or GT BKTS.
Welcome to the 1800s. Riding the wave of the Industrial Revolution, the 19th century was an exciting period defined by big booms that would shape the world's landscape forever. The gold rush shaped the face of the West, the Derringer shaped the face of Lincoln, and just as oil was seeing its own boom, so too did pre-oil skyrocket in demand. Industrial Revolution? With that nerd Darwin finding time between putting kids in his cousin to spit out the theory of evolution, the field of paleontology erupted.
I love the fact that there's actually a picture of Charles Darwin, like, doing the little shush pose, like, as if he's, like, you know, a modern day, like, NBA player that just put up some crazy numbers or something. It's so fun. I thought it was the perfect photo to go with making a joke about him having the family tree of a circle because of all the, you know, incest and stuff. So, yeah, like, he had 10 kids with his cousin, and actually... don't quote me on this because I didn't spend a lot of time doing research into Charles Darwin for this video, but he found out later on through his work that the like incest can have negative effects on offspring because of the lack of genetic diversity. So it's something he learned, I think, after the fact and wanted to, you know, and thought was, oh, maybe this is not a good thing. that that I have done or something like that. But yeah, I mean, like kind of like back around this time, stuff like this was more normal. I think practicing historical consciousness is important. And it's kind of like I feel like a controversial thing to do in like today's day and age. You'll see people talk about people like, you know, Thomas Jefferson and talk about how terrible of a person they are because they own slaves. And yeah, never gonna defend that. But, and that's a very risky but to say, historical consciousness is important to practice. Slavery was a very different thing around that time, so you know you kind of have to put things in the perspective of the time period. That's not to absolve people of their sins, that's just to understand them. That's the whole point. And I think people have a hard time making that distinction. It's not to say, oh, it was a different time, so it's okay. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's a different time, and so it's not necessarily a reflection on their it's not how do I say this? It's not like a reflection on their character in a way that would be more potent today. Like someone owning slaves today versus someone owning slaves in the 1700s, you could argue is way worse because there's so much societal pressure against it today. And when the case back then, there's not. But, you know, you could also point to stuff like, and I know this is like a crazy tangent into fucking Thomas Jefferson. It's just a topic that bothers me. But there are people in the past that were very anti-slavery, even for the time. Like, you know, John Adams, the second president, did not own any slaves. It was very, very notable for having no slaves in at any point, him and his wife throughout their lifetimes. And also while in office, they did not have slaves at the White House, which I think is based as fuck. But yeah, I just think it can be really easy to see these things and just hand wave their entire lives. Like, I don't think it's very good to see Charles Darwin, you know, fucked his cousin and be like, oh, fuck everything else about him, as in the same way that I don't think it's good to look at Thomas Jefferson having slaves and go fuck his entire life and everything he's ever accomplished. Because, you know, nothing is black and white. There are no good and bad guys. Well, not true, I guess. There are definitely good and bad guys, but there's no like clear-cut, cookie-cutter heroes and villains in history. It's all a spectrum of bullshit and good, cool things. Anyway, crazy tangent, but that's all to say, I fucking love this photo of Charles Darwin. I had to check just to make sure that it's a legit photo and not like some AI thing, because it's like, this is too perfect, right? It doesn't look like AI, but it's such a perfect photo, and it is it's just a legit photo. Hell yeah.
Time between putting kids in his cousin to spit out the theory of evolution, the field of paleontology erupted in popularity as researchers scrambled to dig up the bones necessary to substantiate his theory. Evolution? Listen, you're more of a prop than an actual student, so let's keep the questions to a minimum, champ. Two of said bone erectors.
I really love that joke too. But yeah, so like, that's also another thing for like the lore implications is that, is Blue Jay really doing this because he wants to teach, or is he just kind of like using them to fulfill his own personal gratification? You know, I kind of view it, it's similar. Blue Jay is very similar to GLaDOS from Portal 2, if you guys have played that game. Basically, in Portal 2, there is, the whole plot basically is you're someone that is in this rundown scientific facility, your Chell, and it's long after everyone's gone and it's closed, but there is an evil AI robot that is running everything, and has this programmed desire to test. That is all they want. It is like crack to them, and as long as someone is solving puzzles and testing, that gets them off. And Blue Jay is kind of like that when it comes to teaching. He just needs to do it. It's not necessarily for just in the way that GLaDOS isn't necessarily testing to actually come to conclusions and further science. It's just to scratch that itch. Blue Jay is teaching to scratch that itch, not necessarily because Blue Jay wants to actually teach people. And that, you know, may evolve in some way. We'll see where this story goes.
For New York native Othniel Charles Marsh and Philadelphia-born Edward Drinker Cope, go Birds. While both men...
Crazy, by the way, that's his actual name. Edward Drinker Cope, Othniel Charles Marsh. Like, they just sound like fictional characters.
were up-and-coming big shots in the big bone world, they did come from quite the different backgrounds. Cope, for his part, possessed everything one needs for a successful academic career. He had passion, talent, and most importantly, a rich immediate family. Marsh, on the other hand, despite sharing the first two attributes, came from a poor farming family, meaning he had to pursue the second path to scientific stardom. A rich extended family.
Yeah, a lot of early science, I can't really give a date confidently, but, like pre-19th century, even 20th century science and research is just kind of rich people being bored and wanting to do something. I mean, I think that's pretty reductive, but you really needed to have resources. That came first over having actual intelligence and talent. Resources is what got things done. Money and wealth, having an established fortune is what helped someone become a scientist, as opposed to having, intelligence and making a name for themselves by actually accomplishing things. That's not to say that these people weren't intelligent. I'm turning on my fan real quick, hold on. But that's just to say, if you were intelligent and you didn't have connections and or money, you weren't going anywhere. And that's kind of similar today. But I think it's a lot easier today to make connections if you have the intelligence to put you in a position to do so. So you still kind of need that, money and connections to do anything in life. That's always going to be a thing. It's just the way you can go about getting to those connections is way easier now than it was back then, where classes, social classes are way more static and constant. And education, while not perfect by any means today, is way more accessible than it was ever in any time in history. So it's, So basically, the big takeaway from that is you needed money to do any of this shit.
1864 rolled around. Both of these studs met for the first time where all men with iconic mustaches like to hang out. Berlin.
I don't know if you guys saw, but I did have... This is something I kind of hate when YouTubers do, but I did it where you have something flash for a frame because it just makes you want to, really take the time to pause and try to pause it perfectly to see what the frame was. But basically, my joke here is that all men with iconic mustaches like Hitler are in Germany.
In the beginning, they hit it off pretty well and continue to keep
mustaches for positivity, no restrictions yet. And now you have this German guy happily waltzing around with a little Hitler mustache. A little fun fact, too, is that this is my picture for John Stith Pemberton, the founder of Coca-Cola, that I talked about in my Soda Wars video. And I decided, he was alive around this time. Fucking let's throw him in here. He wouldn't have been there. But he wasn't like anyone with a lot of wealth around this time, but I just thought it'd be fun to have him as a little Easter egg. This is also a body that I drew for a different character. I can't remember who it was, though. It wasn't anyone super iconic. But I added a mustache. I drew a mustache for him to, make him a little different. Anyway.
Touch upon returning to the States, writing each other letters, talking about dinos, kicking their feet. A few years in, Cope made the first mistake by getting a little too excited and sending dig pics, taking Marsh out on a joint expedition to one of his excavation sites in New Jersey.
That's also one of the first jokes I thought of for this video when reading this story. There's obviously with a joke about with a video about bone wars, it's very easy to make a lot of dick jokes, and it's more of how can I do it in a way that's not just like an easy, quick, cheap laugh? And I wanted to find the most creative ways to make dick jokes or to make anti-jokes where you think it's going to be a dick joke and it's not, which you'll see later. But I really liked this one.
Only problem was, not only did Marsh grow up around animals, but he learned from them too, as this greedy little piggy bribed the site manager to send all future fossils to him and him alone. You there, boy! Here's $100. Wow, thank you, sir. What for? Keep it on the down low, but in return, whenever you lads whip out some solid bones, make sure I'm the first to see 'em. Our bones? Spot on, chap. Especially the big ones. How about average? Fine, but the bigger the better. I prefer ones at least 30 feet from base to head. Sorry, sir, I don't think I have enough blood in my body for that. What? Oh, no, are you not the owner of the dig site? No, I'm Kyle. Excuse me, are you looking for the owner? Yes, I'm looking to make a deal for fossil exclusivity. Here's your money back, sir. No, keep it. I can do both. This moment...
I really love that skit too. The delivery on the no, keep it. I can do both. I fucked it up there, but I really liked the way that was like the first take, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I'm putting that in. And also you can see where I was talking about in the beginning how I have adjusted my style for backgrounds, the outlines to not be a black anymore, and that did help. This wouldn't have been as bad here, but like stuff like this mound here would have blended into his arm a little bit, and then the line here, if this was black, would have made it a little bit harder to see that he has his like hand up to kind of measure the length of the bones that he's looking for, or boner, as he's making the mistake of hearing. So having the background be outlined in non-black colors, you can see that contrast better, and it ends up making for the better visualization, and the jokes hit better, and yada yada. Anyway, I really like this skit. The no, keep it. I can do both. It makes me chuckle still every time. Activity. Here's your money back, sir. No, keep it. I can do both. Oh, there's a slight echo? Okay, that might be because my headphones are a bit close to the microphone. I'll back up.
This moment could serve as the first shots fired in the now brewing Bone Wars, the greatest, most consequential conflict of the 1860s. The second greatest conflict of the 1860s. It was a conflict.
Yeah, the 1860s was a terrible time to be anywhere in the world, it seems. There was a lot of shit going down around this time. In fact, one of the reported reasons, obviously for a video about anything, I have to leave a lot of details out. But the one of the reasons that both Cope and Marsh, or I think more specifically Cope, I can't remember which one, went to Germany in the beginning where they met, was to avoid getting into the American Civil War. Like, their parents sent them overseas so that they could dodge the draft. And that was the reason, or at least one of the reported potential reasons for that. Not confirmed, but theorized. And then also the Taiping Rebellion is, I believe, like even way bloodier than the American Civil War. One of the bloodiest wars before the World Wars was the Taiping Rebellion, which is very, under talked about. And because of that, I don't really know a ton about it myself, other than some very basic details.
This was a slight that Cope would not forget, and tensions grew between the two friends turned heated rivals. Ugh, that's just like Xenophanes.
Yeah, or whatever.
Anyway, the two fossil hunters...
I had to find a lot of ways to get... It was difficult using Alexander instead of Alex for this video, because typically, a lot of the commentary and the back and forth talking requires you having an understanding, at least of the basics of what's being talked about. But for this video, this character is literally from thousands of years in the past. He has no idea what the fuck is going on, and it's kind of hard to let him have any kind of banter with Blue Jay, because what the fuck does he know? He doesn't know shit. He's a little stupid baby brain. So I had to find ways to have him be there and interject. And so I thought it'd be funny to be just add in that little line, just so it wouldn't be so long before we hear Alexander talk again. But yeah, so it was a challenge. It was really hard using a character from the past and putting them in the future, and then having to find a way to have banter with Blue Jay. And I also had to kind of consider how Blue Jay interacted with this character, considering this is a prequel. I kind of laid off the torture aspect, which I think you can kind of notice. Typically in the more recent Blue Jay videos, Blue Jay is terrorizing Alex. He is a demon. He is taking joy in seeing the misery of the people that he teaches, like any good teacher would. But in this video, he's not quite there yet. He's just kind of there to teach. He's GLaDOS before GLaDOS goes fully insane. So, Blue Jay's never really torturing him. There's some slight things, like pointing out that his wife is having an affair to fuck with them. That makes it kind of fun. But other than that, he's just kind of teaching. He's just talking about the material and kind of ignoring Alexander for most of it. Obviously that changes later on in the lore of Blue Jay. But yeah, for this video, that's kind of what his whole vibe is with him. And also, thank you for redeeming the hydrate. I did see that.
began exchanging blows, starting off rather mild at first, passive-aggressively naming new species after each other, like bitchy high school girls giving fake compliments. Some sources I've read argue this was done as a friendly gesture. However, I find that hard to believe when the animal Cope chose was a shitty little amphibian, and the one Marsh named came from the same dig site that he swindled out from under Cope. And also puts his name right next to anus. But that would only be a tiny sting compared to the sucker punch Cope.
I really love this frame. I love just putting the anus in big, bold, that's not impact font, but like damn near close to it, and a big arrow or a finger pointing at him. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the popular consensus that this was done as like a friendly gesture, but these namings were also done after Marsh swindled this dig site out from under Cope. So I'm kind of like, why would they be like, oh yeah, let me honor my friend? It doesn't really make sense to me. But to be fair, a lot of the like reporting on this being a friendly gesture didn't really come from like the most well-established of sources or anything. So I did see in some other sources that I kind of considered to be more in-depth and reliable that it wasn't a friendly gesture. But the popular consensus is that it is a friendly gesture. But I just don't agree with that. But, you know, I don't know. I'm no expert. So I presented both sides of the story and gave my opinion for the video. And, you know, that's that. After all, like I said in the intro, you're not here to learn. This is the internet. We're here to fucking laugh and tweet.
Received after he was sent some fossils that he would name Elasmosaurus platyurus. Platyurus. Elasmosaurus a Cretaceous period marine reptile that was 40 feet long from head to tail. Or maybe tail to head?
I had people saying, where's the gumball measurement in this video? It's right fucking there, assholes. I had it. I always do the gumballs. That's not true. I have forgotten a few times. Yeah, this... I did include it. And also, a lot of people in the comments were like, oh, this is how you pronounce Elasmosaurus platyurus. I did know. I just kind of wanted to jokingly not pronounce it correctly. Because the first time I read it, I realized I was saying it wrong once I like looked at it closer. Because I don't know if you guys have ever experienced when you're like reading a book or like a fantasy book and there's someone that has a name that's like stupid long. And you're just kind of like, yeah, my eyes are going to glance over that. I saw it started with an X and that's how I'm going to remember it. But you've never actually said it out loud. That's kind of the case with Elasmosaurus Platyurus. Okay, maybe I don't know how to pronounce it. Fuck you.
Turns out Cope...
Oh, also a weird error I noticed. I don't know how this happened. The font just changes right here.
Was 40 feet long from head to tail.
Don't know how I did that. I think because I put down 40 feet in a different font, it changed that font. That was not intentional.
Or maybe tail to head? Turns out Cope had mistakenly arranged the fossils with the skull on the tail end of his new dino, a mistake that Marsh immediately recognized and wasted no time rubbing in Cope's face. This is horrendous. Oh my...
Wait a second, what's that? Whoa, wait, is this in my...
A mistake that Marsh...
Maybe that's just the audio, or the playback.
Immediately recognized and wasted no time rubbing in Cope's face.
Okay, so there was like a little visual glitch here and I was really confused.
This is horrendous. Oh my... So, what other discoveries have you made, buddy? That's all. This humiliating...
I was so proud of that joke. One of the things I did when promoting this video, I posted about it a little bit in advance, like saying like almost here, and like a little teaser image, and I just like I made it a little bigger so it fit the square format. And one of the top comments on this was, can't believe you didn't go with Tyrannosaurus Flex. I was like, fuck, that's so much better than Tyrannosaurus Ripped. Because I was trying to go for alliteration with, instead of Rex, it's Ripped. But if I just went with rhyming, Flex is so much funnier. Oh my god, I can't believe... And people were like, oh, you should change it. You should just take it. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Steal the joke. I couldn't. It's not mine. I didn't make that joke. So I stuck with Ripped. Which I still think is funny, but it does hurt a little bit to know there was a better punchline out there. But I really like this little bit.
Oh my, so, what other discoveries have you made, buddy?
Diet pre-workout, local habitat, LA Fitness, maybe? Also, it was just, it was really funny, just trying to get these in the position that looked right. And I originally was going to draw like a 3D imagination, like with flesh and everything, of what this would look like, and kind of like almost look like that SpongeBob episode where he gets those blow up muscly arms. If you know what I'm talking about, SpongeBob muscle arms, like those things. But for skits, it can be really easy to get too into the drawing of gags that the viewer, when you only are looking at this frame for a few seconds, can kind of, not really know where to look and kind of miss the joke because there's so much on the screen. So I wanted to keep it simple with only like a few words and then the picture that I want them to look at.
That's all. This humiliation.
Also, I know I'm pausing so much, but that's why you're here. Another thing that I tried to actively do a lot with this video was to allow for longer pauses. Because one thing that I like to have a quick pace, as you guys know. I talk pretty fast. I cut between points pretty fast. I don't let things hang with dead air for a long time at all. But one thing I'm trying to do is to force myself to slow down for a lot, especially like a lot of these visual gags where I want you to like see the joke. In the past, I have found that I sometimes will cut too quickly that people just literally don't see the joke. And for me, who has been working on this video, for months at a time, I already know immediately where to look. I know where the punchline is. So for me, it's like, yeah, I got it. Let's move on. But for, a first time viewer, obviously things are slower because you haven't seen it before. You don't know what to expect. So it's a challenge, and it's something that I've been forcing myself to get better at. And that's why having like friends do like beta tests of watching skits can be helpful. Cause like there was another video that I'll talk about, and when I eventually get to that director's commentary, the soda video, where I had a skit that was also visually based and I was moving too fast, and my friend just straight up did not see the gag, and I was like completely dumbfounded, like how the fuck can you not see that? It's like the only thing on screen. But it's just when you go too fast, sometimes your eyes don't know where to look.
Caused Cope to cope by running with his tail, or I guess head, between his legs to try and buy back every single copy of his flawed paper. But you know what they say, once you post something in academic journal compendia, it's there forever. And Cope's error would be remembered as his biggest mistake through the tail end of his career, regardless of all the effort he put into the memory's ejection.
I intentionally had Alexander here narrow his eyes, recognizing that this is a pun, because puns are one of the oldest forms of humor, and ancient Greeks did know what puns were. So I thought, hey, if there's a joke that this guy's gonna get, it's gonna be this guy. And I thought it'd be really funny if even thousands of years ago they were like, dude, puns are so like 2,000 years ago. Like, it's not even funny to them. That's more of a joke for me than anyone else, because I don't think people are going to pick up on all that implication with this facial expression.
And hey, speaking of bones, you know what rhymes with ejection? Corrections were not exclusive to...
I get it, because erection rhymes with ejection, because speaking of bones, this is an example of an anti-boner joke that I was going for in this video. Also, one thing I forgot to mention... the drawing for Blue Jay done by Cass, the hat and the scarf is supposed to be Alan Grant. That's his name, right? Alan Grant from Jurassic Park. That's what he was inspired by. So Cass, I think, did a beautiful job encapsulating this look for Blue Jay. Make sure to give her props. I always have her in the description, her website here, so if you ever want to check out what she's got, one of the best artists I've ever seen in my life. Very, very talented. Does all my hats. Knocked it out of the park here.
Of bones, you know what rhymes with ejection? Corrections were not exclusive to Cope, however, for throughout the duration of their rivalry, both men would have issues configuring their heads. Years later, Marsh would place the skull of a Brachiosaurus on the body of a Brontosaurus, which is honestly an understandable mistake, considering the only difference between the two is that one is doing the limbo while the other yearns to be vertical. Shortly after their expedition to the Wastelands, or as they said around this time, New Jersey, Marsh found himself with some growing prestige, landing himself a job as Yale University's first professor of paleontology, a position only achievable through raw talent, hard work, and an uncle who builds an entire museum for the university on the condition that they give his nephew a job.
I always love getting the opportunity to like create just a wacky picture, because sometimes I don't want to just draw all this historical shit. I want to like go a little wild with what I'm drawing, and so I always love when I can draw a little duck hitting a kickflip, smoking a cig with sunglasses like an MLG gamer, bro. So that was my opportunity to do some like really funny drawing for this video. The other one was like that little the little lizard earlier, which I didn't have any kind of visual guide to go off of, so I just drew some bullshit. Other than that, yeah, like this little duck is the only thing I had to go off of. But yeah, so George Peabody was the uncle of Othniel Charles Marsh, and who I was referencing earlier when I said a wealthy extended family, which is what Marsh had. George Peabody is not just wealthy; he is one of like the wealthiest people, and is considered also to be one of the, or like just straight up the founder of a philanthropy. It's one of like the first examples of modern philanthropy, spending a lot of money to donate to like good causes and to advance society, not for his own personal gain, but just because he fucking wanted to and had the money to do it. So he's not like a big asshole, but it just, you know, he is a rich guy, one of the richest guys, a very wealthy American financier, which is a scary thing to hear in today's Epstein age.
Give his nephew a job. Nepotism aside, things were starting to get dirty with our diggers, and both men decided to pump the gas on their attempts to one-up each other. Cope was a firm believer in the Pokemon strategy. Quantity over quality, publishing an ungodly 76 papers a year at his peak in an attempt to completely drown out his rival. Because it doesn't matter how good the final product is, the people are gonna eat up these cute animal drawings anyway.
This little dinosaur, fun fact about that, I didn't originally draw that for this video. In this little game, this tabletop role-playing game that I played with this group of friends, it's called Mothership. It's like, you know, it's not D&D, but tabletop role-playing games are like Dungeons and Dragons. But basically this game is kind of like a really simple, easy to play, horror-based RPG where, you are kind of like, your characters are pretty expendable. It's pretty easy to die and to like get really terrified and, you know, crash out and stuff. It's very fun. It's very fun. But basically there was this one module we were doing where we were on this like space version of Jurassic Park, and the company that runs the place was like super scummy. It was very run down and just very shit. It was kind of like something out of Futurama where everything is just terrible. And I have the full picture here I can show you. Basically, I made like a fake ad for it. Did it download? Let me see. Yes. So I wanted to like, I made for fun while I was like waiting on my turn, this little fake advertisement. This is the full thing. Get your souvenir moonshine now in family size. And I had a little dragon, little cartoon, not dragon, fucking dinosaur smiling, holding up a little moonshine. Anyway, that's where that's the full picture there, where that came from. I was just like drawing this on Procreate on my iPad while I was role playing. But yeah, so that's like a little backstory behind that picture. I just took that out. I didn't want to. I was tempted to just show the full picture with the moonshine and everything, but I just knew people would be like, "What? the fuck is this?"
Marsh, on the other hand, preferred a more cautious and calculated approach, reserving his papers for only the most prestigious of academic journals and mastering the art of manipulating the media's attention. For example, in 1869, Marsh visited the site of a sensational archaeological find, the Cardiff Giant, a supposed petrified 10-foot-tall giant man that was dug up at a New York farm.
Yeah, this picture, like, his cock is, potent. It's vivid. Like, you can see the details. You can damn near see the pores on that head, and I just was like, yeah, I'm gonna blur that. I know it's a statue, but bro's hung. He's hung. And you can look it up. You'll see it. But I'm not gonna show it. Not worth my channel dying.
Marsh took a gander, said, "Bro, that's a rock," and furiously beat the charlatan fossil finder in a fit of rage. This man of science just snapped like that? No. But if I say it confidently enough, everyone will believe me. Little YouTuber life hack for you. But
I don't know why in this video, like, I made a joke earlier in the intro where I was saying, like, this is the internet, you're not here to learn. But, like, I'm really hammering home on the fact that, hey, this is YouTube. Not everything you're hearing is true. People just fucking lie. I don't know if I had just been seeing a lot of videos that were just blatantly incorrect at the time, or coming across a lot of viral stories or topics that were just fucking wrong and lies, but I really wanted to hammer home, hey, I could just be lying to you guys right now and you wouldn't know. It's so easy. YouTubers do that all the time. And I'm hoping by, pointing out that I am lying here. Like, I did lie. He did not beat this guy up. I'm trying to point out that you shouldn't just take everything you hear at face value. Do your own research. I will always, as my word, try to give the most correct version of a story as possible and portray facts as accurately as possible. And if I'm ever lying, usually it's because I'm trying to deliver a joke through a skit, and I think I make it pretty clear when things did not go as the way I'm depicting. Like, for example, or for instance, Marsh did not actually pay a guy to show him his dick. That was a joke, and I think that's pretty clear. But you know what I mean. Basically, I'm trying to say people lie all the fucking time on YouTube. On any social media. Everyone's lying to you. You guys should never listen to anyone. Stay inside at all times and never talk to people. Yeah, I don't know why I'm really hammering that point home, but I was. And then I kind of realized that this was a little dangerous, because every once in a while I'll get a recommended video in my feed of someone reacting to my video. And sometimes I'll be like, I wonder what people think. Like, it's kind of nice every once in a while to see, the whole ethics of reacting to content is like, I don't want to get into all that. But sometimes, from a creator's standpoint, it is nice to see a completely unbiased reaction, or it's not completely unbiased, but relatively unbiased reaction from someone who doesn't know that I'm watching, or doesn't know that I know that they're watching. So that they're not, like, trying to, be like, yeah, it's good, it's funny. I can see if something's ass, they'll be like, that shit sucked. I've never really seen that, but you know what I mean. And sometimes I watched someone just today, actually, watching this video, and they got to this part, and they were, like, looking away at something, and they missed the part where I said, like, no, like, I'm lying to you, and they just assumed, like, they heard the part where I said beat him up, and now they, for the rest of the video, they thought Marsh had actually beat the guy up. And I'm like, God damn it. I was explicitly trying to make a joke about how easy it is for people to just lie to you about things in history. And I accidentally just did that. And the point didn't get through. They just thought that was the story. And I'm like, damn it. Maybe that wasn't a responsible thing to make, but maybe it proves my point even more, because now I get the chance now to tell you guys all about it. Just pay attention in class. When you're watching my videos, pay attention. Things go fast. I put a lot of things in here pretty quickly, and little Easter eggs and all that jazz. So, yeah, just watch.
He did accurately debunk one of history's most famous archaeological hoaxes, and the resulting pop culture attention plastered his name in newspapers from New York to Sacramento.
Yeah, like, they thought his name was plastered in newspapers because he beat a guy up. And I'm like, no. God damn it, no. Fuck. if you're just gonna lie, you should keep your mouth shut.
With the 70s around the corner, both Cope and Marsh trained their eyes westward towards a promising new opportunity.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be really funny to have his mouth stitched shut in this scene. Blue Jay, while this is an origin story before he's all super violent and fucks with people, if you do give him lip, I mean, he's still gonna he gonna treat you right, you know. He gonna put you in your place. Also, I thought it'd be funny to do that 70s show, but put in 1870s show. Haha. Yeah. Anyway, that's a pretty obvious gag.
The frontier. Thousands of miles of wilderness, graveyards of bones, all of which yet unexplored by the likes of men. By the likes of what they considered men.
Wait a second, hold on. I think I missed something. I just talked about not looking away, and I literally just did that.
The frontier.
Yeah, this is, as you guys may or may not know, if you're a longtime viewer of my channel, I very often have JoJo references in my videos, like whether it's a character that looks like a JoJo character or just a picture from JoJo or like a poster or something. With part 7 coming out on, I think, the day this came out, actually. Hold on. This was, what, March 23rd? And okay, no, never mind. It came out a little bit after the first episode dropped. It was planned to originally come out on the same day that the first episode of part 7 of JoJo dropped, but came in a little bit after, but it was perfect. You know, this is a picture. Part 7 of JoJo is called Steel Ball Run, and it's all about this race through late 19th century America, which is where this video takes place. So fuck yeah, this is a perfect picture to show the frontier, or they're racing through the frontier.
Thousands of miles of wilderness, graveyards of bones, all of which yet unexplored by the likes of men. By the likes of what they considered men. Well, this seems like a darn tootin' great spot for some bones. Please, haven't you taken enough land? You're still not over that, fans.
Yeah, that. Oh, this is also an example of me holding a frame for longer. Like after he cocks his gun, I originally had it cutting off like a few seconds early, but I wanted to keep it going so you had a chance to see the gun, and then your eyes can move over, or I think what my intention is when you pan like this, your eyes are immediately gonna be drawn to the new thing on screen. So you see there's a reservation here, and then they come back and you see that he's holding a gun. You know, so I wanted to give you time to register all of that so the joke lands, but I really like it. I love jokes like this, just like incomplete sentences that, you know, aren't quite done yet. There's a few jokes like that in this video, but I really like this one. I mean, it's fucked up. I make a lot of jokes about the tragedy of Native Americans in the history of you know, early United American history. Because it's the topic I'm so passionate about. Native American history has always been one of my most interesting, or the most interesting history for me to learn about has typically been Native American history, and a lot of it's because of the mystique around it. There's a lot that's not known and a lot that's assumed, and it feels like a lot that can be learned, maybe if we can find the right clues and evidence, and if archaeology can, you know, uncover some new truths and stuff. But it's tragic. It's sad. It's also, I think, the biggest, I straight up say it's the biggest tragedy in history, what happened to Native Americans with the discovery of the New World. And so I make a lot of jokes about it because, you know, it's something that needs to be talked about. I want to showcase just how so much of history involves horror for these people, for a lot of people, not just Native Americans, but a lot of history just involves people suffering. And it's important to not forget that. It's very easy. Almost every topic I see covering the Bone Wars neglects the, you know, Native American aspect of it, because you know, it's people just kind of like assume it's not as important. It's not the focus. But I think it's important to remember like what's going on in the world around this time. And it's not just in terms of suffering, but like I point out, you know, like the American Civil War is happening, the Taiping Rebellion is happening, things that can affect the climate. So stuff like the destruction of native populations and lands and territories and heritage is something I don't want people to forget about. Like, that's happening right now. And there is there's a joke I have later on, and also this joke that I've had people comment about how Othniel Charles Marsh was actually an advocate for Native peoples, and he lobbied for them in government, which is true. He did do that. However, I want to put an asterisk next to that because it's not very clear how much of that was because he actually wanted to help Native Americans and how much of that was because around this time, the 1870s and forward, was kind of a turning point in people's perception of the treatment of Native Americans. While we don't really think of people around the 1870s as being accepting in like woke from a civil rights standpoint, this was kind of a turning point in how it was becoming more of a popular opinion amongst American civilians that we shouldn't be treating Native Americans like this. We shouldn't be taking away their land. What happened to them was bad. Of course, people come to this conclusion after all of the bad had been done, which is, how things tend to go in history. Once you reap all your benefits, then you can complain how you got them. But that was kind of the popular consensus, and Marsh recognized that. He recognized that the popular opinion around this time was that it's not good how Native Americans are being treated, or at least that was the growing popular opinion, and so he kind of capitalized on that. I mentioned earlier in this video that he was a master of manipulating media attention, and he knew how to do that. That was very important for him to keep his public image in check, and so he made a big public deal of supporting certain tribes and lobbying for their rights in government and using his position and his power to try to help them, which, yeah, I think is a good thing, but I want to make sure it's clear that there were ulterior motives to him doing that. It wasn't because he was just, he saw all these tragedies and he was horrified. It was more so that it helped him. And he didn't always choose to help, because these people at the end of the day, they're trying to win this rivalry. That's what they're there for. So I wanted to kind of like put that out there. But it's hard to speak on the morality and the opinions of people that are long dead and gone, who I don't know. And I'm just an amateur researcher after all. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that's kind of why I didn't. There's a lot. This video is very hard to cover because it's unlike a lot of other videos that are a continuous storyline. So like my Russian Navy video or the Lobster War video, this topic is a war, air quotes, lasting decades. And there's not like really big moments in it. It's kind of like one continuous story of a lot of little stories that build up this rivalry. So I had to pick and choose what to talk about and find ways to summarize big, giant swaths of story into a simplified point, to make sure this video isn't a documentary length. So there's a lot of things that got left out, and that's one of them. The treatment of Native Americans was not properly covered in terms of like the treatment by Marsh and Cope specifically. But just know the reason they are able to access a lot of these lands is because of Native Americans being driven off of them. They did have native guides for some of these expeditions, but it came at a cost, and this was the cost. So I guess I just want to make sure I highlight, when I make jokes about the tragedy that happened to Native Americans, just know that that's how messages are delivered in my videos. It's satirical humor. I'm pointing out the flaw using humor. This is a horrible thing that happened. This is not me approving of what happened. And I think, I believe everyone watching this live stream right now probably gets that I'm obviously not, making fun of Native Americans. But, in today's day and age on the internet, I feel like you have to be very explicit about what you think and your intention, because people will always misconstrue or misunderstand what you're trying to say. But yeah, basically, that's that whole rant.
The two men race to dig up and identify as many new specimens as possible, although we're talking about wealthy superstar paleontologists here, so how much work they put in should really be taken with a grain of salt.
No bones, sire! Holy shit, I'm goated.
To get ahead in the publishing race, they would...
I really love that skit too. I had a lot of little fun skits. This video was fun to write. That voice that I did for that guy, I don't think it was intentional, but it sounds almost exactly to me like Woodhouse from Archer, who is Archer's butler, the main character's butler. This like really old man, but the way he goes like, "New bones, sire," it sounds exactly like Woodhouse to me, and I love it.
Should really be taken with a grain of salt. New bones, sire. Holy shit, I'm goated. To get ahead in the publishing race, they would spam out telegrams faster than I can run a 40-yard dash, which is really fast, by the way, resulting in numerous mistakes and duplicate discoveries.
Yeah,
in some instances, Marsh and Cope even knew their fossils were not unique, but tried to pass them off as so anyway.
That was an ad-libbed line, by the way, which is really fast, by the way. Or I like last minute added in the 40-yard dash joke. That just changed the line. I don't remember what it was before then, but sometimes I do that in this script. I'll just like add in jokes that weren't originally planned, like me mispronouncing the Elasmosaurus plagiaris or plagiaris or whatever. I don't even remember the right pronunciation now, but it's just an ad-libbed, improv line.
Especially if it gave them the opportunity to one-up their rival. What? Well, my dinosaur was twice as big, could fly 30,000 feet, got pterodactyl every night, and could easily bench 450 without any creatine, like some dinosaurs.
I really wanted to have the line pterodactyl in my video. It's so gross. It's so bad. I also thought it'd be funny to have, like, he's like proud of his Tyrannosaurus ripped design, even if it's not right, and he put it up on his wall. I just thought that was funny. If I had more time to animate this video, I was gonna animate the paper moving, and he'd have to like slide it back with his hand. But I started the process of doing that, and originally I was gonna have frame by frame animating it move with individual images, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it separate layers and have it just move. But then like you're gonna see the bottom of the paper come out, and it's gonna look weird, so I have to like move a thing behind it. And I was like, you know what? I just don't have time for this. It's not taking away from the joke to just have the paper be still. But that's just a detail I just didn't have time to animate.
Easily bench 450 without any creatine, like some dinosaurs. Towards the late 1870s, any pretense of cordiality was thrown to the curb.
Alexander, I don't know if you caught that. He's now all happy that his lips are back to normal.
Dinosaurs. Towards the late 1870s, any pretense of cordiality was thrown to the curb. Cope, who had been known to be bubbly and outgoing, had started treating his guests with animosity at dig sites.
There's a character that recurs in my in my videos all the time. Timmy, he's this little guy with like the big nose, and he has this little propeller hat. In this video, I didn't get a chance to show him because there's not really an instance where a kid would make sense to show on screen. So this is kind of like a way I had to show Timmy in this video. I put his hat on top of Cope here, to show he's like all bubbly and outgoing, like a little kid with a propeller hat. And also, for those of you who do or do not know, I hide a Blue Jay penny in every single one of my videos. In this video, I hid the penny right here. It's right there on the button of this guy's jacket. I have to make it really hard to find, and I don't know how easy you can see that. If I enlarge the screen, maybe it gets a little bit closer, but that is a little Blue Jay penny right there, which I can show you what that looks like closer up in this short.
It's 1860.
Can I fast forward this? This is what
For admission.
That's what the penny looks like zoomed in. But I hide a Blue Jay penny in every single one of my videos ever since the How to Survive Victorian London video. So if you ever want to do a little fun thing, look in my videos. I hide a penny in every single one. Sometimes they're hard. I consider this one decently hard because it's pretty small, but usually it's bigger than that, I would say. Sometimes I change the color to be a little bit less saturated to blend in with whatever picture it's in, but I have to make it hard because my Discord server has a role for people that find the Blue Jay penny first, and there's one guy that finds it damn near every fucking time. To the point where I think other people just have given up on trying to find the penny, which kind of sucks. But I more power to him. he fucking lives for finding those pennies, and this penny took him like half a day to find. Usually it takes him like 5 minutes, like 5 to 15 minutes to find the penny. He like watches it at 2 times speed and like skips around to different frames before actually watching the video to try to find the penny. But just know, if a new video comes out, find it, like let me know where you found it, and if you found it first, if you're the first person to let me know, then you'll get a special role in my Discord server. You'll get a little recognition. Congrats to you. You get to join the Penny Hunters role club. But yeah, that's where it's hidden here.
Marsh, for his part, had become more paranoid and mischievous, establishing a convoluted series of code names to conduct his work. Cope was referred to as Jones, money was ammunition, how well a fossil find went was called health, and a handsome smart boy was called a blue jay. You made that up. No. In their clumsy bum rush to outdo each other, they spun quite the taxonomic nightmare of a web, creating their own nomenclatures, refusing to acknowledge the others, and giving some species multiple names that would require generations of paleontologists to unravel.
Yeah, so a lot of the mess, this is me trying to like cover how this whole Bone Wars, it both like skyrocketed the popularity of paleontology, putting it really far into the public eye. You know, newspapers are talking about these dinosaurs all the time. It's becoming this huge sensation. You know, dinosaurs are now like a pivotal part of pop culture. It's huge. It still is. And that's largely because of these two guys in their battle. The competition really pushed them to really discover as much as they could. But there is a downside. So while it like skyrocketed everything to fame, it put all these dinosaurs in the spotlight, it created this whole culture, they fucked so much shit up where to this day, like almost 200 years later, paleontologists are still trying to fix their mess. I believe there are still fossils that have not been properly identified or that are being fixed. Their taxonomic nightmare of a web, this isn't an accurate example. These are all real dinosaurs, or at least species that these two men identified. So these are actual names, but like these arrows, they don't mean anything. I was just creating a web. But basically they would sometimes name the same species different things, or refuse to acknowledge the genus or family name of, you know, the other rival, and like really push for their own name that they came up with, to the point where you just have this giant mess. You have all these definitions that are wrong and have required so many paleontologists since to like work through and fix and address. So while, you know, it discovered so many dinosaurs, so many more than we would have, because competition is the number one thing to drive action. When you have someone you're competing against, you're gonna work so hard to fucking beat them. So a lot of what we know and what we have, like the Stegosaurus, Triceratops, is because of their drive. But yeah, it created a big mess. A mess that's still being fixed. And talking to paleontologists and just seeing their opinions, people are kind of divided on if the Bone Wars was good or bad overall. Some people are adamant that it was way worse than it was good. Some people say it was overall a good thing. But, you know, for them it was bad in the end, as we'll see.
Some species multiple names that would require generations of paleontologists to unravel. Like a 40-year-old Pokemon card scalper, both men had become more obsessed with collecting fossils than actually playing with them. So much so that many unidentified species were left locked up in boxes all the way up till their deaths. For in the end, all that mattered was having bones and making sure the other didn't. With dynamite, exploding fossil beds had become a viable strategy for the war.
It's another example of how I really like jokes that are like unfinished sentences. They just, they tickle me right. I love
boring paleontologists. Because once the fossil cart gets full, what else are you gonna do with the crumbs? Leave them for the next guy? But that's terrible. What about all the lost discoveries? The evidence? How does this help advance the people's understanding at all? Oh, naive child. This whole rodeo isn't about the people. It's about prestige. And in a field known for the mantra, publish or perish, the pursuit of pettiness will often find one asking themselves, why not both? Now, to be fair, the use of explosives may have been more rumor than fact, but even still, relentless bone smashing and stashing had become the norm, lowering the bar even further below the very fossils they're fighting for.
Yeah, so that was a thing. So while there were originally a lot of reports, and it was widely talked about that, they would explode their bone sites when they were done with them, once they had collected all the fossils that they could, to prevent the others from actually finding them. Recent evidence and further analysis kind of like puts into question how widespread that was. Like, while it was kind of originally accepted as a common thing that they did, it's not really clear if they actually did it as much as, it was led on to believe. And a lot of that was because they wanted that to be the opinion. So, like, this is kind of like what I'm seeing as a general consensus now, is that Cope and Marsh wanted the pizzazz of the rumor of bone sites being destroyed with explosives to prevent the other from going there and looking. So they may, for example, it could be reported that Marsh had, used dynamite to explode the remainder of a dig site. And because of that, Cope might not want to go out there and see what other fossils may be still lying around. When in reality, what these men would often do is actually rebury bones. They would just cover them up, or they would move them and bury them under dirt so that the other couldn't find them and like come and see them at the dig site. Or they would, in some instances, smash the bones or smash some of the bones. But oftentimes, yeah, they would just kind of like rebury them and make them harder to find, as opposed to actually, taking the time to blow up the dig site. Which is, explosives are dangerous and not always fun to use. So, yeah, so like, there's a theory that they actually wanted that rumor to be widespread, and that's why they didn't refute it, to prevent other people from going and looking at their dig site, even though they didn't actually blow it up. Although I do believe there were cases where they actually did. It just is in question as to how widespread it was, if at all. But anyway, yeah, so it is confirmed that they did destroy bones, and I think there's like an actual letter from Marsh to a guy that he had spying on Cope's site, or at a site near Cope's, where he ordered him to destroy some remaining fossils. So yeah, that did happen.
All right, cart's full. Nuke the rest of them.
I don't think those are invented yet, but are you sure we should be doing this? I mean, this one kind of looks like a prophecy.
That's just erosion. Now put it with the others and get to sploding.
Where there's sabotage. That's such a dumb joke that I don't know. I was thinking it'd be really funny if there was like some kind of like pillar like out of 2001: A Space Odyssey showing the prophecy of 9/11 that they exploded. Like, think of all these like lost discoveries that we could have known about. Maybe one of them warned us about what would happen in 2001. This also, at the beginning of this joke, I have him go like, cart's full, nuke the rest of them. And he goes, I don't think those have been invented yet. That's also for like the Blue Jay lore implications. It's playing off a similar idea that these skits that I have in my videos are all paid actors, as opposed to like a snapshot of history. Right? I've talked about many times in these director's commentaries that I kind of have like these two different universes. There's like the exploratory or explanatory universe, where I'm explaining things. That's kind of like the white backgrounds where I have a character I'm interacting with. This is one universe where I am explaining things. And then there's the history universe, where it's like this, where you're back in a moment in time where this is happening. But sometimes I like to play off the idea that a lot of these skits are paid actors by Blue Jay. Like him saying, like, I don't think those are invented yet, is like obviously breaking the fourth wall. Like, why would he know when nukes are being invented? And similar to a skit that I had in my, I believe, Pirate King video, where I had a character, like the skit was like him just going like, you know what, fuck the script. And he's like all mad at this guy for saying like, oh my god. And he's like talking about like, oh, I'm an actor from Juilliard. I'm not gonna put up with this bullshit. And then like a director like leans in the frame and he's like, hey, if you just say the lines, that'd be great. So yeah, like it's kind of playing off that, where these are, you know, maybe they're just paid actors. They're not actually the historical figures or something. But yeah, that was kind of my idea to like kind of like holler back to that joke a little bit from the pirate videos.
Now put it with the others and get to sploding. Where there's sabotage, you bet there's espionage. So like a YouTube video essay channel, Marsh turned to plagiarism for a dirty attempt to get ahead.
Yeah, so this, oh my god, there was like some guy I saw in the comments that was like, they're like, you shouldn't be promoting Illuminati like that. Like they're kind of not good or something. And like people were like, he's saying that he's not promoting them, he's like criticizing them for plagiarizing content, and they just like would not accept that. They're like, yeah, he should not be like promoting this channel, it's very problematic. And people are just, media literacy is so dead and gone. I don't even care. I really don't care anymore. People are never gonna understand. But this Illuminati thing is something that was a big controversy when this YouTuber named H Bomber Guy made this big like 4-hour fucking documentary on plagiarism in YouTube. Plagiarism and YouTube. Fucking 4 hours. This whole trend is crazy to me. Like, it works. 41 million people watched a 4-hour YouTube video, and more power to them. They're not really for me. I did try to watch this video. I watched, like, I want to say a good hour and a half. I skipped around some, but I'm just not good at watching 4-hour YouTube videos. If I'm sitting down for hours, it's for a movie or like a really good show. I'm typically not going to watch YouTube that long, although that is not at all to discredit H Bomber Guy. From what I've seen, I haven't watched a ton of his stuff, but from what I've seen, and from what people have told me, very, very talented and great. But one of the channels he criticizes in this video is this Illuminati channel, for how blatant their plagiarism is. This channel here, and I think like ever since that video, they have not posted a single video. But like they had like 600 videos, and they had only been posting for like, I guess 7 years. Okay, maybe a while, but they were posting like all the fucking time. There's so many videos that are just like pumping out, and yeah, they got called out for plagiarism and just fucking dipped. They made their bank and they left. And so yeah, that was me like poking fun at them. But I had never like called out a YouTuber before for inappropriate conduct, and this is the first time I have done so. Not to say that there aren't plenty of YouTubers whose conduct I don't agree with, or whose, philosophies I find problematic. That's a whole... There's a video I've been writing on a more serious topic for this main channel for a while. I don't know when or if I'll ever make it. It's more centered on AI use, especially when it comes to educational content. But yeah. Anyway, kind of new thing for me to do. I don't like feeling like I'm involved in drama, but this isn't really drama. This is a person that we all kind of agree is doing something wrong.
Or at least, so he was accused of doing by friends of Cope, who claimed he had snuck into his rival's lecture on Permian reptiles to jot down the information and publish it before Cope had the chance to. Now, spying from an office can only get you so far, and if we learned anything from our friendly neighborhood Central Intelligence Agency, it's that the banana industry makes for great coups d'etats. Bananas? Sorry, wrong video. It's that you gotta put boots on the ground to get things done. So Marsh was...
Yeah, that's kind of a little playful, joke about how there's I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about banana republics, which is basically these countries that are completely dominated by the banana industries because of how powerful they had grown, and that's like a whole other topic for a completely different video that I didn't have time to get into and don't have time to get into now. But basically it's a very big funny rabbit hole of history that there are plenty of other funny YouTube videos about already. So while I love that topic, I don't know if I'll ever cover it. I may one day, but I just know that there are already a bunch of high profile videos talking about it that like I'd have to make sure I'm saying something new or different, so I'm not, just kind of covering the same shit. Not to say like I wouldn't cover topics that have been talked about before. I'm sure already, like soda companies. I'm not the first person to talk about that, or the Great Depression especially. I'm not the first person to talk about that. But that topic specifically, I believe, the like biggest creator in the type of video I do, Oh my god, look, this is an example of one of those thumbnails I was talking about that are just kind of like, oh, this is the exact, oh my god. If you remember at the beginning, if you guys were here at the beginning of the stream, I was talking about this like how I try to make my thumbnails like movie posters as opposed to formulaic thumbnails. This type of thumbnail is fucking everywhere. That's what I was trying to search up. Your life as blank. All of these, this is an AI picture. This is probably an AI channel. There are so many fucking AI channels that are puking out this exact type of video of your life as blah, blah, blah. And it's a picture and then a arrow pointing to the guy with some text in a white background. And there's like a bazillion videos like that. If you search up like your life as a, yeah, like this, dude. And these are different channels. These are different fucking channels. Some of them are the same. There's Stick Tony or whatever, Stick Tory. But like, dude, like, this is just, ugh. I could do shit like this. I could just follow the flow of what, oh my god, look how many there are. There's so many and it's all AI. I hate it. I hate it so much. It lacks soul. But damn it, so many people watch these. Ugh, it makes me sad. It really does. But anyway, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't, like, these thumbnails I try to make, you know, unique to my channel so that when you see a thumbnail like this, you know it's a RedJay video. This is just like, who the fuck is this? I don't know who the fuck this is. I'm not gonna ever watch it, though, because it looks like slop. I'm so sorry if the history explainer is actually really goated, I don't know, but this looks like an AI picture to me. Anyway, what was I talking about? Banana Republics. I'm pretty sure the biggest creator in my niche, Sam O'Nella, has, 9 years ago made a Banana Republics video. So I try not to cover videos that he's covered just because it's a, you know, I don't want to feel like a copycat. But yeah, so like although I have made like a weird inventions video, so I'm not opposed to making videos that he's covered or covering topics that he's covered, but I will kind of stray away from it if I can. Anyway, back to this. Why did I get on that tangent?
Known to infiltrate Cope's field expeditions with undercover spies. At the climax of the rivalry, Cope and Marsh were fighting over dig sites in Wyoming, getting so heated that the two paleontologist teams even got into a rock-flinging skirmish. But generational...
Hey, thank you for the donation. Thanks for trying to make sure your channel isn't like the rest. Yeah, it's very important to me, and I think it's important not just for my own sanity, but for you guys and for longevity. I think people get tired of seeing the same shit, and also if I just kind of follow the trends, once the trend dies, I die. My whole philosophy, people will ask me all the time, like, what advice would I give them for starting out on YouTube, or for like just general tips on like how, like, what they should do. And the thing that I kind of always harken back to is do what you like, and don't try to dictate your choices and your content, your editing, writing by what is trending. That's not to say you can't take advice from it to see if maybe you do like some things that are trending or like some trendy types of styles, because like that's perfectly valid. But the more you build an audience around the things that you like, the less you have to question whether or not a choice you are making is something that your audience will like. So, for example, I have spent 6 years now building an audience of people that have my sense of humor and my interest in topics. So now, whenever I make a video, I don't really have to worry of whether or not this topic will be good. I know it'll always perform at a certain baseline because I know my audience shares the same interests as I do. And that's how I'm able to make something like, my biggest example is the absurd historical trends that need to come back. A lot of people might look at a topic like fashion as something that's not going to go viral. And here it is as my 4th highest viewed video of all time. That's how I'm able to make a lot of just wacky videos on topics that, you know, like the vampire hunting video, which is not a very trendy topic, but because I've developed an audience of people that are, you know, sharing a similar interest to me, a genuine interest, not one that's manufactured of me chasing trends, I don't have to make these kind of calculated decisions that, live or die by what's popular at the time. So that's kind of like the advice that or one of my personal philosophies that I try to go by when I ask myself, is this like, what choice do I want to make for whatever, like for a joke, for a topic, for an intro, whatever. If I like it, I'm going to do it. That's not to say that's a foolproof strategy, because plenty of times I find something funny or cool that people just do not. Because, everyone's different at the end of the day. But I will always try hard to avoid following a trend because it's trending, for the sake of it being trending. Like those fucking thumbnails. I hate them. Oh, they're so gross. I hate when they pop up, and I hate when and it sucks because it like bleeds into people coming onto my channel and saying like, I'm so tired of these AI slop channels. And I'm like, you didn't even watch there's no AI. Do you guys think if I'm using AI, I'd be posting a video every 2 to 3 months? Like, dog, if I was using AI, once I'm posting weekly, that's when you can start to question things. But like up until then, like, I think the best I could do is monthly without resorting to AI or hiring people. And if I do start posting faster, I promise it's because I hired someone and not because I'm using AI. I hope you guys all know by now that I do not fuck with AI. Just not my thing. I put in a lot of effort into my videos, and I hate that I have been compared to a lot of these people that are just AI channels pumping out slop. Have some fancy Danish money, and thanks for making great videos. Oh, thanks, Jay. Thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate that. Oh, hey, thanks for Strobox. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. You guys are too kind. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is getting into that other video that I talked about how I'm going to make in the future a more serious topic about basically AI when it comes to content creation, and especially in my niche. It all started because I stumbled across this like old Reddit post of people saying like, what's with these rise of AI channels? And the post was deleted, so I didn't get to see what the picture was about, or like what the picture was, but it had like thousands of likes. And then going through all the comments, like 90% of them, which made my heart really warm and happy, were all these comments that were really highly upvoted saying, don't compare Blue Jay to these AI channels, or like, get my goat Blue Jay off this list. And so what I have come to conclude is this picture must have been a picture of a bunch of channels, and I was mixed in with a bunch of AI slop history stick figure channels. And it sucks. It sucks that I started this channel way before AI was ever a big thing for like generative content. And I have come to be associated with all of these peers that are like, all these people are being seen as my peers that use AI, who I do not want to be associated with. I view channels like Salmonella, like Casually Explained, Tom Scott, Vsauce. These people I view more as my peers, but instead I'm being, and they might be too, associated with these channels that, like to skip corners and pump out cheap content for a quick buck. And it's very problematic. And it's not just because, I'm suffering. I think it's problematic to the viewer, to the audience, to everyone, because, and this is I'm going to make a whole video on it, but just to make sure I don't get too far into it, I find it very problematic, especially when it comes to history channels. I have seen commentary from other history YouTubers, and I'm not going to name names, it's not what I'm here to do, but I've seen make conversations with other people saying, yeah, sometimes there's just no picture for what I want to talk about. And because of that, I'll have AI generate me some kind of picture, because there's nothing that exists out there. And that's especially when it's the worst time to use generative AI, because you, as an educator, have a responsibility. You are being trusted by the viewer to deliver them facts. The viewer is trusting you to be speaking truth. They trust that you have put in the effort to make all this all this research to put in the effort to write a script that delivers accurate, informative information. And they're investing their time into consuming what you're putting out, and they're trusting that what you're showing them, especially in the context of history and education, is what happened. And the problem when using AI for stuff, especially when it comes to niche content that doesn't have images out there, is that the AI, more than ever, will resort to stereotypes. And a perfect example of this is if you were to, like, for example, ask ChatGPT to generate a picture of some niche Aztec king. Famously, Native Americans don't have many images depicting what they looked like because they didn't have as much of a written culture, and what was written or drawn is gone. And because of that, AI will resort to stereotypes that were developed through, Spanish conquistadors or, the internet, just jokes on the internet or various, whatever it can pull from, right? Because something is niche, the more it relies on stereotypes and inaccurate information to generate an image. And so you will end up showing an image riddled with stereotypes, full of inaccuracies, maybe just completely wrong. I even, for this video, tested it by generating an image of a specific Aztec king, and I had contacted an Aztec amateur expert to help me critique it. And it's riddled with inaccuracies, just from start to finish. From even the base, it showed the guy as like 80, and like he died in his like 30s or something. So it's very bad. I call on all history creators to avoid using AI because they say like, oh, well, I can't draw a better picture, or artwork will be misleading too. But the problem is, if you generate an image with AI that looks realistic, they will assume that that is how it really looked. But if you were to draw a shitty stick figure like I do, people will know this is not how it actually looked. They will understand that artistic liberties were taken to depict whatever you're talking about. And disclosing that makes it even better. Obviously, I don't, take the time to disclose all of the artistic choices I make, because it's just a comedic channel more than an actual educational one. But anyway, that's a whole other tangent about AI slop and how problematic it is, and how I will avoid it. And I don't care how much, people will try to push me to, consider it for speeding up processes. I get so many comments like that, and it's just like, man, I don't think you understand how much you wouldn't like AI content. It's a whole rant. I can rant on it for hours, but this is a commentary about the Bone Wars. Hopefully that wasn't too big of a tangent. Let's get back to the video.
Wealth can only get you so far in a multi-decade petty feud, and with Marsh pulling strings behind the scenes, Cope began to run dry in the old piggy bank department. Falling into financial ruin wasn't satisfying enough for Marsh, however. After all, it was them Pokemon cards we all care about, so the spiteful man tried to utilize his connections to strip Cope of his fossil collection, a plan that eventually backfired and saw Marsh's own career tumble down as his excessive research fund spending was put into question, with both men racing.
Yeah, so obviously that whole conclusion is a little simplified. I went through an entire decade to just kind of quickly summarize everything that happened. I guess I talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like the gist of it. Basically, with all of this research and all of these expeditions, their funds just went, drier and drier. And because of the controversy surrounding them, you had, let me see, did I forget to talk about something, or is that coming up later? I think that might be coming up later. Yeah, okay, it's coming up later. You just had a lot of funds drying up, less investment, less people wanting to give these people their money, and they ruined each other's reputations successfully. They both won and lost, really, when it comes down to it. But yeah, I mean, that's an example of how this topic, like I said earlier, is not very clear cut in terms of like a storyline. So I had to simplify things, just to kind of get through it. Basically, they both their reputations were destroyed. They were running out of money. They were racing the rock bottom together, like true gay hockey players, to go back to the heated rivalry theme.
to rock bottom, their collections, incomes, and even homes were put in the crosshairs. Please, just mortgage it. You can't take my home. That's inhumane. While the rivalry discredited both men, defaced the good name of paleontology, and even pushed colleagues to quit the field out of embarrassment,
yeah, so that's the other crazy thing about this whole thing. People like literally quit the field of paleontology because of this conflict and the bad press that it was receiving. So, like, for example, Joseph Leidy, I might be pronouncing his last name wrong, was the mentor of Edward Drinker Cope. He is famous for being the man to first discover dinosaurs. He was the first person to discover a mostly complete dinosaur fossil and to make them popular. That was actually that original dig site that Cope took Marsh to, because Cope had access to it because it was his mentor that discovered the first ever dinosaur there. And then Marsh swindled that site from under Cope. That was Leidy's site, his dig site. And Joseph Leidy, at the end of his career, fucking quit because of this bullshit. All of this, like, you know, Secret Lives of Mormon Paleontologist Wives bullshit drama going on forced a lot of good scientists to quit the field because they just didn't want any of that shit. So, like, the end of Joseph Leidy's days were him researching, like, biology, like, I think, like, different, like, fungal organisms or something. Like, he completely just switched career tracks because of this. Can you imagine that? Like, imagine there was some crazy, like, physics rivalry that happened centuries ago, and fucking Isaac Newton was like, nah, I'm gonna go do some chemistry, like, or like just go like, I think I'm gonna spend the rest of my days like listening to music. That's how crazy that is. You drove some of the best minds to quit with your bullshit bickering, and just like making everything kind of like, you know, just tarnishing the reputation. It's crazy to me. I think it's time to really dive into that. Like, Joseph Leidy, I didn't get to talk about at all in this video, but he was like a big part of the Bone Wars. He was a constant. He, along with Marsh and Cope, was traveling out west to these dig sites, and in fact, there was a lot of like problems with that too, because you had like different agencies and government agencies funding expeditions for Cope and Marsh that were trying to you know, have them not come into conflict with Joseph Leidy, having them go to different sites and to not like clash too much. Like, he was a big part of it, and it was kind of like, it's kind of like the Lord of the Rings with Tom Bombadil. I just had to cut an iconic character out of the story for the movie adaptation. I just couldn't fit him in without, you know, unless I wanted like this video to take another month and I had a deadline to hit. So anyway, yeah, that's just a bonkers factoid.
it did also drive them to uncover an ungodly amount of fossils in their race for greatness. Some of the most iconic dinosaurs, from the Stegosaurus to the Triceratops, were discovered during this conflict.
Yeah, that's like a little callback to the ASDF movie, like iconic YouTube series with the Stegosaurus that goes like, I am a Stegosaurus. That cracked me up years ago when I saw that. That might be like a 15-year-old video at this point, but I think Tomska is still making the series.
At the final count, Cope had discovered 56 new dinosaur species, while Marsh stood proud at a whopping 80. But one last battle was still to come. While the end of their days were mostly filled with back and forth mudslinging in newspapers, Cope issued one pinnacle challenge to definitively prove which man was best. On his deathbed, he had his skull donated to science so that his brain could be measured, demanding Marsh do the same so that he could show, once and for all, that his brain was biggest.
Okay. So this is a picture I took off the internet of a brain, like a cartoon brain. I did not draw this myself. I swear to God, at one point in a video, I think within the past year, I drew a brain. I cannot remember what video it was. I just remember drawing a brain. I remember drawing the curves and folds of a brain. Don't know when I did it. It's scaring me because, like, up until now, I have remembered pretty much every detail of every video. Like, I'll listen to YouTubers sometimes talk about how they they'll like see a video from like 5 years ago and they'll be like, I made this? the fuck is this? I don't remember this video at all. Or like someone will come up to them with a YouTube video and they're like, I have no memory of making this video. I've never gotten to that point. My videos are, I don't really have all that many, right? They take me forever to make. But I cannot remember when I drew a brain. This is like one of the first times where I'm like, damn, I swear I did that. I swear I drew a brain. But maybe it wasn't for a video. Maybe I just did it for like a side project? I can't fucking remember. I know I did. You know, maybe it was like an Inktober thing, like just in my sketch pad. But I don't know. If anyone remembers me drawing a brain for anything, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go on a marathon watching all my videos to find it. Because I swear I did it. I searched my computer for my brain. I thought I had an asset of a brain I drew. Could not find a brain. I know I drew a fucking brain. I remember drawing a fucking brain. Oh, it bothers me. Bothers me I can't remember the brain. Damn it.
With the climactic battle set and everything on the line, all Marsh had to do was take up the challenge. Pass. And that, my dear friend...
That's pretty much how it ended. So Cope died first, despite being like a whole decade younger than Marsh, which is kind of sad. I feel like he died kind of young. Well, he was 56 when he died. Meanwhile, so he died... Edward Drinker Cope died in 1897 at the ripe age of 56, while Othniel Charles Marsh lived to 67 and died 2 years later. Which is kind of surprising because, like, I mean, Marsh was not the healthiest looking guy, but I'm sure stress did wonders for the lifespans of both men. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, it just kind of fizzled out once they died. Like, the rivalry lasted up until their deaths in the late 1890s. So that puts this rivalry at a span of nearly 40 years that it was going on, because it started in the 1860s and lasted to the late 1890s. And there's not really a clear-cut start and finish. There's kind of like iconic moments. So like the iconic start potentially is the instance of Othniel Charles Marsh swindling that dig site out from under Cope. But that's not necessarily agreed to be the starting point of the rivalry. There are other instances where one could look to as the starting point. Another good moment was a few years after that when Marsh pointed out that Cope had arranged the head on that dinosaur incorrectly by putting the skull on the tail. That's probably like the most iconic moment of the whole rivalry. That was a big deal. It's like, because you really fucked up. It's not like some like accidental mistake, like a little small thing. It's like you literally arranged the vertebrae backwards. Like, it's kind of like, it's pretty pathetic in terms of a scientific standpoint to make that mistake. So it's a very embarrassing thing. So that could be looked at as a starting point. The ending point is pretty much just when they died. The last little thing was this challenge to literally compare the size of their brains, because around this time, it was believed still that the size of a brain is what makes someone smarter, when that's actually not necessarily the case. Nowadays, I believe the current scientific consensus is that usually it's the more folds you have in your brain that dictates your intelligence. Although nothing is black and white. There is no black and white when it comes to measuring intelligence. Brain size isn't an indicator. In fact, I'm pretty sure Einstein's brain was smaller than the normal person's brain, albeit it did have more folds than the normal person's brain. But that doesn't necessarily to say by having less folds in your brain you cannot or you're not an intelligent person or can't be an intelligent person. It is not a subject that can be determined by a number. IQ is not something that means anything. It's such a flawed test. There's so much to intelligence than a number. Humanity is way too complicated for that. So, but anyway, that around this time, it was believed that the size of a brain was literally how smart you were. So he was like, I swear to God, my brain is fucking bigger than yours. And that's just such a funny way to end it. Like, dude, you're poor, you're discredited, your life is over, you have nothing, and you're like, my brain is bigger. Fucking weigh it, pussy. You're not gonna be alive to see the results. You're just that confident. You just want to do a one last fuck you. I do kind of wish they did. I wish he took up that challenge. God, I want to know. It feels like a perfect cliffhanger. This whole story is just... It's too poetic. It feels fake. It doesn't feel like it's a real story. It's just so funny and dumb. Anyway, But that was that. That was the end.
The challenge. Pass. And that, my dear friend, was the end of the Bone Wars. So, learn anything to help you beat your Greek rival, whatchamacallit, sucks on his knees? Xenophanes. And yes, I just need to tickle this magic stick, right? Wait! No, you can't die yet. We were just starting to hit it off. You? Say, what's your name anyway? Alexander. Tell my wife I love her. She's a little busy with affair number 8 right now, but I'll even know. Wait, 8? Good night, sweet prince. Well, that's a bummer, but it's alright. I'm sure I'll find you again in another life, dear Alex.
Yup. So I talked about that. Also, thank you so much to my lovely Patreon supporters. These are my top tier Patreon supporters that get a lot of exclusive access to fun stuff like animation live streams and progress updates that I talk about in detail, the current stuff I'm working on in my videos on a weekly basis. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but yeah, so just before I get too far gone, the end of my video, man, that it took me a while to figure out how to end it because I wanted the end to be me revealing this whole time this was Alexander. So to harken back to the fact that Blue Jay has always had an Alex, and Alexander is in this Sisyphusian struggle through all of time to push this metaphorical boulder up the mountain, and the boulder is instead a giant bird, and instead of rolling up a mountain, it's constantly pecking you. And that's just kind of the circle of life. Blue Jay has always needed an Alex, and Alex has always had, maybe not needed, a Blue Jay. And that's just the story that they're in. So this is the first Alex. This is the origin story for Blue Jay. This is the first Alex, and he died in his first video. And the implications here, as the video
Good night,
dramatically.
Well, that's a bummer, but it's alright. I'm sure I'll find you again in another life, dear Alex.
So fun fact too is this glitchy overlay along with that audio is the exact same stuff I did in this Ix October video here 5 years ago. It's the same audio and glitchy overlay. I'm not gonna play it because there's copyrighted music in there, but I reused that here. And then the pictures I have are all instances of Alex from previous videos over the years. So up in the top left here, we have Alex, the modern day Alex, the one that's in the modern timeline currently, alive and kicking for now, in the modern incarnation of Alex. So this is him in the Great Depression video. This is him in the Jester video. This is one of my favorite scenes in that video, which I haven't gotten the chance to talk about in a director's commentary yet, but I will. This is Alex in the therapist office at the beginning of the Cola Wars video. This is the first appearance of Alex in the Victorian video where he's living the upper class lifestyle. This video of Alex is from a YouTube short meme I did right here, A Match Made in Heaven. It's one of my favorite shorts I've made, so I go watch it. It also has copyrighted music, so I can't play it. This is Alex from the Wild West where he's dressed up as a hooker and he's getting his skin color checked. This is Alex in the How to Survive in Ancient Egypt video. This is Alex being kidnapped for the radiation video. Wait, no, that's not the radiation. This is the Cold War video. This is when I broke into his room and I had accidentally exposed the world to a nuclear apocalypse, which is why the outside is all a nuclear wasteland. There's also a little JoJo reference right there. And then this is Alex from a picture I did for Thanksgiving a little while back, right here. I really like this drawing. Look at him. He's so happy to eat his apple. Oh, God. Look at this lovely family. They got this little picture in the background with other characters. This is Tim. Tim hasn't come back in a while. This is Timmy, not to be confused with Tim. Tim was used in my radiation videos. But, yeah, while Blue Jay has an Alex, it's not to say there can't be other characters. But there is always an Alex, the one for him. Yeah. So this was like a little creepy outro that was kind of like a snapshot forward in time, showing the relation there, and kind of like the disassociation is trying to really hammer home just sort of like the eldritch horror aspect of this relationship in this timeline. And then this shot here is back in the modern timeline. So if you remember from the end of the Great Depression video, which I haven't gotten a chance to talk about in a director's commentary yet, Alex at the end, it's a little unclear what happened, because he's said, like, I can't take this anymore, I don't care, and he walked off. And BlueJay was visibly upset about it, and people were wondering if, you know, it's being set up for some grand conclusion with Alex, or if there is something else in the works for the story. But it's very different, because usually everything goes back to normal at the end of a BlueJay episode. But Alex instead walked off, and this is him inside the cardboard home that he had made for the Hooverville that he was staying in the Great Depression video. So this is him back in the modern timeline, just sitting down on the ground. And then at the end, you hear the flutter of bird wings as it cuts to black. BlueJay is still around. He's looking, he's there. He'll always be there. You can't get away. I'm coming for you. And I'm not just talking about Alex. I'm talking about all of you, sitting there right now. I see you. Anyway, that was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bone Wars. I had a lot of fun with the lore. I had a lot of fun with the topic. I always love... Man, I forgot how much I missed, you know, taking the time to actually, like, talk about it. Like, the last time I did one of these director's commentaries was, like, what, like a year? I mean, no, it's been over a year. It's been okay, 8 months ago. It's been almost a year ago, and I put so much effort into like little small things in these videos that I forget. Oh, and also I forgot. I always have like little outro text that slowly becomes opaque at the end, and this one is just Alex with 3 dots. It's a very ominous ending choice there, But yeah, I need to get back into doing these director's commentaries. It's just hard because I've had such a tight schedule and I've been trying to do other things lately. But anyway, I can, that was okay, that was only 2.5 hours. Not too bad. But I can definitely open the floor now for questions. So I'll unpin this message in the Twitch chat about saving questions. Let me see. Then maybe to follow this timeline, can you do World War I? I am always open to doing World War I stories, as I have done before. World War I has some of the best antics of any war, because it's such a funny time, where it's just like all these kids are given some toys that they've never seen before, and they don't know what to do with it, and so they try everything. They try anything that you would think of in like a video game, and it's so awesome. I've covered them in my Wacky War Tactics videos a few times. Like the Battle of the Bees was very hilarious. There's all the U-boat shenanigans in my first video. It's great. I'm always open to doing World War I stuff. In terms of like a full World War I video, it's a big undertaking, and I would need to have the time to do it. That's kind of the problem. Right now, the channel is, like I said at the beginning of the stream, a lot of YouTube channels are struggling in the view department. So I don't really have the charity to be able to take many months to make a video, because I need a post to make money so I can eat food and live. Unfortunately, that's a necessity even for demigod birds. But I want to cover big topics still. That's not to say that won't happen. I just need to make sure I'm in the right place to do it. Hopefully, you know, Patreon gets to the point where I can just rely on that full time and not have to worry about the whims of views. But, you know, I've never really like made a big call out to my Patreon before, and I've thought about doing like a dedicated video where I talk about my Patreon and really put in an effort to revamping it and making it feel like an actual big experience rather than a place with some perks that you just, you know, give me money to access. I want it to feel like, you know, you're getting some bang for your buck, and it's kind of hard to do but I'm working up to it. We had Blue Jay Sir, not a line, but I love how you know about a country only specifically by a movie. That Too Fast and Furious movie. Oh yeah, the Lobster War. A lot of, yeah, I mean, that's more of a joke, but like a lot of my knowledge on Brazil, pop culture knowledge, came from Fast Five, and you know, I learned more obviously over time, but yeah, it's yes sir. I enjoyed the stream. It's my first time attending one of yours. Oh, I'm glad you could be here. Yeah, I want to do more regular streaming. I have a big trip coming up in a little bit to Japan, so I can't really start a schedule. But after that, I plan on doing a lot more of it. Is Alex supposed to be a paid actor too? No. Alex is, I see him more as a being that is just forever tied to Blue Jay. It's kind of like a balance. It's a yin to Blue Jay's yang. And he doesn't want to be there. No matter how much you pay him, he won't want to be there. But he will be there because he needs to be there. Because God forbid there's ever a time where Alex is not there. Who knows what will happen with Blue Jay, or vice versa. Well, if Alex is too good of a life, like, would he like that? Would that be good for the world? Probably, but maybe not. If he's a demigod, whose is the god and who was the woman? Bold of you to assume the god was a man. No, I'm just joking. I say demigod, but I have it kind of up to interpretation what Blue Jay is. I kind of have my own conclusion as to what he is, but it is kind of like what I was saying before, where I don't necessarily agree that the artist is always right when it comes to the interpretations of things. So I don't really want to give a definitive answer on what Blue Jay is. But I have been trying to do my best to infer it with how he's interacted with questions about godhood, and just kind of like his state of being, and the powers that he does and does not have. But yeah. Any plans for streaming games? Yes, I do want to stream games. The problem is right now I have a very tight schedule with trying to get some videos out. I have a script that I'm trying to get written within the next like week or week and a half. And so for me, it's kind of like, it's really stressful to think of, you know, spending hours to play a video game where, I mean, it's great and I think it's important, especially for community and just, you know, like being a someone that builds a community for a YouTube channel, but economically it just doesn't make sense. Like I don't really make money from streaming. I just do it because I like to. Oh my god, you'd watch a Portal 2 stream? Well, I'll fucking do that, dude. That's my favorite game. I would 100% do that. I've actually been thinking about doing that too. But I do want to do it. Not everything is about money, but it is, you know, a lot of my time should be going to finishing these videos. But I do want to start to more regularly stream games, especially. I have a lot of games I've been wanting to play. Like I've been wanting to do Portal and Portal 2 streams. I've also been wanting to stream the Metal Gear Solid series. I think that'd be really fun. In fact, I was playing Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2 by myself the other day, just to kind of like get those out of the way so I can stream Metal Gear Solid, because I feel like those are more of a watchable game, like onward. But I kind of regret it because I was playing Metal Gear 2 and my girlfriend was on the couch watching me play, and I was like basically treating it like it was a stream. I was like doing all the voices, I was doing playful commentary, and I was like, damn, these jokes are so good. I kind of wish I was streaming right now. It would have gone hard. Who's the best character in Portal 2? I mean, GLaDOS. Like GLaDOS is just the best antagonist ever in video games. I also like Kefka from Final Fantasy VI, but I think GLaDOS is just straight up the best antagonist in video games. I love GLaDOS. Not that every character in Portal 2 is amazing. Cave Johnson is fucking hilarious. I mean, Wheatley is awesome. Chell, I love Chell. I did like a whole like written statement, or I don't know, like a little essay on why Chell is an amazing protagonist, even though she doesn't talk at all. Anyway, I bet your schedule is insane making such awesome content all by yourself. It's less insane and more so creative work is very hard. Some people, everyone experiences it differently. Like authors like Brandon Sanderson can just sit down and just fucking, puke out content every hour that they dedicate to work. But at least for me, it requires so many things to be right to get creative work done efficiently. You have to be in the zone. You have to feel funny. You have to be mentally healthy. And you have to, it takes a while to get into the zone to write. You can't just sit down and start writing like you can with, like in my engineering job. I could go to work and just do work. Sometimes my heart's not into it, but I'm getting work done. You can't just get work done when it comes to creative stuff. Like there's some side stuff like the business emails and all that you can just kind of get done. But like writing, you can't just kind of like, at least it's hard, and I'm trying to get to the point where you can schedule time where you're going to consistently work at an equal capacity each day. So a lot of my day is dedicated to work, but not all of that time is getting efficient work done. It's a battle. It's just very difficult because being creative is hard, and it's something you can't just turn on and off easily like with other things. But it's something I'm learning to get better at because I think artists find a way to do it. And that's one thing that I have mentorship sessions with Cass that has been a big help in getting me better at being creative. And I think my content has significantly improved with her help because of that. First time joining a live, small question. Would you ever do a video on Scottish history? Example, the Battle of Culloden or something like that. I would love to. If you have that, like some stories in mind, if you join my Discord, which is in the link of every one of my videos on any of my channels, leave a comment in the video suggestions channel and I will gladly look into it. People may or may not know, but I am always looking in that channel and I see suggestions that people put in there. Whether or not I respond to them, I don't want to respond because I don't want to get their hopes up, but I will read them. And I'll write down what I'm interested in, and sometimes it takes years to get to the topic. Like with the Bone Wars, there was this guy in my server that suggested it like 3 years ago, and I credited him in the description of the video. DS Monkey's Mockery's art. I always say Monkey Art, and I know that's not his name. He suggested this video topic like years ago, but I will maybe get to it one day, so throw it in there. Would take an arrow to the knee for a Portal 2 stream. Metal Gear J Solid would go hard. Bring Alex into Metal Gear universe as April Fool's episode. Oh my god. Wish I understood the glazing for Portal. Yeah, I mean, not everything's for everyone. I think it's an example of a perfect video game. But, just because someone likes something doesn't mean you have to as well. Not everything is for everyone. So even the most important popular things, GLaDOS is really good. Wheatley line delivery is so good. 100%. I mean, they both kill it in the line delivery department. Like all of the one-liners from GLaDOS and Portal 2, especially when she's like in her potato form on your little portal gun. God, they make that game. They make it so good. What part of the process is your favorite? I've heard many said editing. It's hard. I kind of, it can vary. I think overall, I'd say writing, but it's not a black and white answer because it's also the hardest part of the video process because that's where, that's the base form. That's where everything's a blank canvas. It can be anything at that point. So it's really hard to, know or like to make things. Like what I'm trying to say is like when it comes to like the voice acting stage, I have guidelines. I have a script. I know what's going to be said. There is a path that I can see the start and the end to. Writing, you don't see that. You have to create that path for yourself. But because of that, it's also the most fun because that's when I can come up with ideas where I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. And then write it down. And that satisfaction of really conveying a message in a creative way or finding a good joke that you're really proud of is very rewarding. And I've always, between all of my skills, like when it comes to acting or writing and drawing, I've always considered writing to be my forte. Along with acting, I have a big background in acting growing up too, but I've always considered myself a best writer of the three, and I'm trying to improve in everything. And I think my drawing was the worst of all of my things, but has gotten a lot better. But still is probably, I consider, the worst. However, I do, so while I love that, I mean, animation is also super fun because I also can express myself really creatively. I have a guideline, so it's less stressful, and it's also a really fun time to work because as opposed to the writing and the voice acting, I can like have music playing or have videos up while I'm working on animation. So it's kind of like cozy. It can be kind of fun. I can like listen to fucking what's his name? Scott the Woz talk about like some video game controller for 2 hours while I animate a scene, and it's not going to distract me too much. But I can't do that while voice acting because, you know, I'm talking. And while writing, you can't like listen to anything other than like music, like background music, because it will distract you too much. So I would say writing is probably my favorite, but I love every stage because I love voice acting. I would love to do voice acting for like professionally or for other channels because I enjoy it so much. But yeah, I think all of it's pretty good. Portal 2 is actually perfect in my opinion. It's actually hard to think about a shortcoming of that game. Maybe the loading screens, but that's not really a part of the game. Yeah, I agree. I think Portal 2 is a perfect game. For me, at least. I think it's a perfect game. It's the perfect everything. I could make a whole video about that, but your drawing is looking pretty great to me. Well, thank you so much. I think it's come a long way. I've talked about that a lot in these recent videos, but I mean, comparing some of these backgrounds to, you know, stuff from my China video, like you go from prove it. Like going from, you know, these kind of backgrounds to, or going to that from this.
China is a cool.
Like that, a little picture of a nuke in the window. Now, there is something to say about like the charm that comes with these shitty drawings. You know? Like, there's a bit of a charm. There's a bit of a little something here that I do like. There's like one background picture that I can't quite find, but is there like a way to, ooh, let me do that. There's like one big background I did in this video. There's this one, but it's, I don't know where it is. Maybe I missed it. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, you can see the drawings. Like, it's very shit.
Puyi was literally 6 years old at the time. Hey kid, I'll make you a deal.
Got in the voice acting. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so bad. Anyway. Yeah, thank you. But, I think, now that it's 8 p.m. for me, I'm gonna wrap things up there. So, thank you all for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed this return to form and learned some new things. I appreciate you guys and all your support. That means the world to me. And watch my videos or die. Watch them all. Watch them all right now.